Okay, my dudes, we are live, and this is going to be a very special stream. And I just spit everywhere, so of course I probably look disgusting, but whatever. We are going through. We are going to get some more 2021 fantasy football drafts going. If this is your first time to the channel, you need to make sure you hit that subscribe button. You need to make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button. And you need to stop asking me. I get these questions every day, and I am tired of it, guys. I am going to be live streaming tonight. It doesn't matter when you are watching this draft. It doesn't matter if you're watching this draft 3 weeks from now. I am live streaming every single night with real money fantasy football drafts all the way up until the season. So don't shoot me a DM going, Mason, can I get in an underdog draft with you tonight? Mason, are you drafting tonight? Mason, are you streaming tonight? Yes, I am drafting. I'm streaming. Come out. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that bell so you can come out to one of these live streams. Hop in the draft. Let's pull up the chat real quick to make sure that everything's okay. We just got done watching. I didn't have a chance to watch the Eagles versus Steelers, but we did watch Washington versus New England as I went through and recorded some podcasts at the same time. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun stream because we had some people talking some smack to us in the YouTube comment section today. We had some people coming out saying, Mason, are you really streaming $100 drafts every night? Because I would love to come take your $100. You have no idea what you're talking about. Yes, guys, this is gonna be a stream where we have multiple big money leagues for all those haters that think that they know more than me. And we are going to be getting these going in 1 second. Let me send out a notification. We're going to be posting a link. Let's not waste too much time. Let's just get this going right now. So we just sent that out on Discord. I'm going to be posting the first draft on Patreon. And let's pivot over and let's pull up the draft room. Y'all can see how quickly this fills. And this is why it's so important that y'all are subscribed to the channel with the bell hit next to the subscribe button. Let me know what y'all think about the games and how they went tonight. Like I said, I didn't have a chance to watch the Eagles game. I did see that we actually had a ton of usage from a Zach Ertz, which is concerning for myself, considering the fact that I've gone out there and I've aggressively drafted Dallas Goedert. So I think we have to kind of slow down in what we are doing with that. And oh my God, 41 likes in the live stream already. Thank you, my dudes. We have Jayan says, I thought you were dead, Mason, because we are just now going live and it's past 9 p.m. Eastern. We get the 104 here. We haven't drafted at the 104 in a while. I'm going to be happy with this draft selection. We're either going to be grabbing one of Alvin Kamara or Devontae Adams. Whoever falls to us, I'll be perfectly fine with them at the 104. And here when we go through and when we look at a draft like this, we're most likely going to be grabbing that elite running back in an Alvin Kamara if we think that Nate Beer decides to go with the Devontae Adams at the 103. And that's going to give us the flexibility in the second round. We can either go with the Darren Waller, we can go with an elite receiver and then double up on receiver at the 2-3 turn. But of course, we'll get into all that. We're going to be doing a ton of live drafts tonight. And my dudes here, if for whatever reason you have not heard this by now, you better believe that I'm coming out here and I'm going to tell you about it. Because we are currently drafting on Underdog Fantasy. This is where we're going to be drafting every single night until the season starts. And if you enjoy these streams, if you enjoy these videos later on, guys, the number one thing that you can do to support this channel is take advantage of an offer that should not even be real. I mean, this should not be legit. It sounds way too good to be true. But if you deposit $10 on Underdog Fantasy to go out there, maybe you do some drafts on your own, maybe you do some drafts with some friends, maybe you do some drafts in the live chat with us. But regardless, if you deposit $10 on Underdog Fantasy, they also have a lobby so you can fill leagues that way. And you use promo code FLOCK, they'll add $25 to your account. So they're paying you $25 to go out there and do those fantasy drafts. And at the same time, you're going to get my 2021 draft guide. You're going to get my 2021 rankings. And I am going to get Devontae Adams here at the 104. I am tired of people going, Mason, how are you taking Devontae Adams over the running backs? Mason, are you sure that that's a good idea? Yes, Devontae Adams does not have a single red flag on his profile. I'm willing to go and get an elite receiver at the 104 that we think that he can have that ceiling that breaks fantasy football as he did last year. And at the same time, the worst case scenario is he's like the wide receiver 4. And that's worst case scenario. Devontae Adams at the 4th pick overall, I'm going to be completely fine with that. But anyway, going back to using promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Guys, you get paid $25 to do so. You get my 2021 draft guide, hundreds of pages of information. You get my 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide, 100+ pages of information just breaking down this rookie class coming into the NFL. You also get my 2021 rankings and tiers that are going to be consistently updated all the way to the start of the season. And to go along with this, you support the channel massively. I mean, there's nothing that you can do that supports this channel more. And if we hit 10,000 people, and I promise you this live stream will get 10,000 views, if we get 10,000 people signing up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, then we get the ability to fly some people down to Tampa, Florida, go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game with me, do a Florida Flock meetup, do a 24-hour live stream. It will be a ton of fun. So, of course, y'all know we have to get that out of the way. But now, after we take Adams, we get some more elite running backs going off of the Derrick Henry and Ezekiel Elliott. Barkley goes to the 108. So it looks like Barkley's starting to trend back in this opposite direction. We had Barkley falling to the 1-2 turn consistently. I do like to see Barkley starting to slide back towards the top of drafts. Now, I could honestly consider taking Barkley over a Travis Kelce, over an Ezekiel Elliott, over a Derrick Henry. I am a Saquon Barkley psycho, given the fact that we know that he has an elite touches perspective from his red zone touches and also the targets he could get out of the backfield. So he's going to be getting every single valuable touch in his offense. And yes, you have to be concerned about the overall offensive line. I'm 100% concerned about that. And I'm tired of people saying, well, Mason, how are you low on Najee Harris because of the offensive line and you're still willing to draft Saquon Barkley in the first round? Barkley is possibly the best running back in the NFL. Barkley is a completely different player than Najee Harris. So don't be trying to bring that comparison to me. Okay. So now let's go through and let's see. Party Till Shot says, is this a $5, $50, or $100 draft? My man, this one here's a $5 draft. Y'all know at the first draft every single night, it's always going to be a $5 draft. That way we can make sure the stream's working. That way I can make sure that we get a little warm. And then we'll go through and we'll do some higher stakes drafts directly after this. So yeah, let's get the $5 one out of the way. Then we'll probably be doing a $100 draft directly after this. Well, we'll be taking a vote if y'all want to do a 50 or 100, but the people in the comment section of today's videos, they were coming out and they were giving me some crap going, Mason, I will take your $100. So we're posting it up. We're going to do a $100 draft because I promised people that we will. And we did a $100 draft last night. I think we did a $100 draft 2 nights ago as well. So these are starting to stack up. And my dudes, if you want to come out to a live stream, if you want to be a part of the stream, get in these drafts, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And now we have Chubb, Jonathan Taylor, Antonio Gibson going here in the middle of the second round. Let's switch this over, try to figure out where we are going to be drafting. So DK Metcalf is someone that would be intriguing with this next pick. It's weird that we have seen DK Metcalf get closer and closer to this DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley tier, even though I think that he does belong a lot closer to the A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson instead of Hopkins Ridley. I mean, I would be completely fine if you wanted to rank A.J. Brown or Justin Jefferson over a player like DK Metcalf. But if you ever tried ranking DK Metcalf over someone like a DeAndre Hopkins or a Calvin Ridley, I would say you're a crazy person and you should never be looking to do something like that. And now at the 209, it's going to be a clear player that we're kind of hoping falls to us here. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire goes. So I'm not a massive fan of him. I am really concerned about the offensive line. But I think when we start with the Davante Adams in the first, if we have a Najee Harris falling to us here, we are just going to end up having to take Najee Harris with our first round selection. So yeah, we're going to start this draft off Davante Adams and Najee Harris in our first and second round. Okay, so now let's go through. Xavier says, what do you think about Carlos Hyde as running back 2 in Jacksonville? I think that is not the case whatsoever, guys. I am also I'm sorry just going rants over and over and over again today, but this is how we're starting off the stream. I've had so many people DMing me on Patreon saying, Mason, did you see so-and-so's depth chart? Did you see Kyle Pitts is the tight end 3 on Atlanta's depth chart? Team depth charts in early August don't mean a single thing. A lot of times, literally the coaches haven't even seen the depth charts. I mean, it's like the craziest thing ever. It doesn't mean a single thing, my dudes. It does not mean a single thing. I promise you that. I promise you. Okay, so let's pull this up. The only time it would ever mean something is if like you're looking at 2 veteran running backs, say like in Kansas City, and we're trying to figure out if Darrell Williams or Jerick McKinnon's the running back 2 there. Then you can possibly look at it with some significance, but I would even rather just wait a little bit until we get closer to the start of the year and then be basing it off of that. Right now, I'm not looking at any depth chart whatsoever and taking away anything with significance. Okay, so Keenan Allen, Allen Robinson go at the 301, the 302. So JN starts Allen Robinson at the 302. Let's see. So he went Dalvin Cook, Darren Waller, Allen Robinson. George Kittle goes. I would have definitely preferred having George Kittle fall to this pick for us, but we are just going to be taking CeeDee Lamb to pair with a Davante Adams. So this is going to be our start so far. CeeDee Lamb's falling slightly for me now that we do have a healthy Amari Cooper. I think that Hard Knocks most likely is going to profile CeeDee Lamb, and I think we could see Lamb slide up into the late second round. I know that sounds crazy, and I know that really doesn't mean that much for his future fantasy production, but at the same time, we know the Hard Knocks bump is definitely a real thing. Thomas comes out and says, how did CeeDee Lamb fall to Mason? I don't know, man. I'm excited about it. I probably would have preferred to have a George Kittle and just start this draft off receiver, running back, elite tight end. We would only have had to draft 2 tight ends in that instance. But yeah, we're going to be fine with a CeeDee Lamb at the 304. Of course, I'm not going to be complaining about that. Timothy says, I'm in a 16-team league. Any comments about that? I'll say that if you pull up my 2021 draft guide, like I said, you get that draft guide if you deposit $10 on Underdog Fantasy, and you drastically help the channel. But beyond that, we go in depth on the draft guide in how you adjust to your league format. There's an entire section of just talking about your league size and how going from a 12-team to a 10-team league, 12-team to an 8-team league affects the different values that you have at running back, receiver. And the same thing going from a 12-team league to a 14 or a 12-team league to a 16-team league. I mean, in a 16-team league, running backs are going to dry up quickly. I mean, you need to be drafting running backs very early. Like if this was going to be a 16-team league right here, instead of taking Adams at the 104, I would have gone with an Ezekiel Elliott. I would have taken either Zeke or Saquon Barkley over Devontae Adams, but with it being a 12-man format, we are a lot more confident with another running back like a Najee Harris falling to us in the late second round. So that kind of allows us to get a Devontae Adams in the first. Okay, so now let's go through. And Aaron says, not worried about the toe anymore with Gibson playing the preseason. I think that's a great point. I think that I'm a little concerned with what we saw about J.D. McKissic just getting that usage in the receiving game, because a big thing with Antonio Gibson is we're kind of just banking on the fact that he can take the majority of that receiving down usage away from J.D. McKissic. But still, seeing him playing in the preseason, I think we can be a lot less worried about the toe injury. I'm not even really thinking about the toe injury at this point when I draft Antonio Gibson. Okay, so we have something interesting developing on this end of the draft. Okay, so we have King Tanner here going wide receiver heavy, literally no running back through the first 4 rounds. And Senior Skittles, the team directly next to him, has 3 running backs to start this draft. Now, I'll say that I kind of agree with King Tanner here. I mean, once you take Tyreek, DeAndre Hopkins, yes, of course, you're really desperate for a running back at this 3-4 turn. But when you have all 4 guys in DeAndre Swift, J.K. Dobbins, Chris Carson, and David Montgomery going back to back to back to back, I mean, you're going to be at a spot where if you're going to take someone here, it's most likely going to be Miles Sanders. And Miles Sanders has his ADP actually closer to where we are at the late 4th round. And like I said, guys, I didn't have the chance to watch the Eagles game. We are watching the Patriots and Washington game as I went through and recorded some podcasts. But let me know what actually happened in Philadelphia. Let me know if Miles Sanders was dealing with an injury. Maybe they just wanted to treat it as a rest day for him. But why were the other running backs in there getting the usage? So please, someone fill me in on that. I'm assuming it's nothing that we have to be that worried about. But if y'all could just come through and try to help me understand that a little bit more, I would definitely appreciate it. Okay, so Julio Jones at the 405. And let's look at this Josh Allen pick at the 404. So I understand that you get Stephon Diggs in the first round. And of course, we do like stacking Stephon Diggs with his top quarterback option in a Josh Allen. But I think more times than not, you're actually going to have Josh Allen falling to pick 57 for you here. So I don't like the idea of going out there and reaching on a Josh Allen at the 404. I would have preferred to see you go with a receiver, understanding that receiver is going to have a massive run right here. I mean, if you could have gotten a Chris Godwin at the 404 instead and start your draft off at the receiver position with Stephon Diggs, Chris Godwin, and then also have Jonathan Taylor, Chris Carson, I would have definitely preferred that, because you probably still could have got Josh Allen at pick 57. I mean, of course, it's not a guarantee, but it's a possibility. Okay, so let's pull this up. Let's look at where we are going to be going. And at the 409, I know somebody's going to hate this pick, but we're probably going to make it regardless. Now, Jordy started this draft off with Derrick Henry, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Terry McLaurin. So come on, let's see where it's going. Okay, he goes Deontay Johnson. So here, I think we actually take Tyler Lockett. Now, a big thing with Tyler Lockett is this is going to be a best ball format where you don't have to submit your starting lineup each and every week. What actually happens is at the end of the week, the highest scoring players slide into your starting lineup. I think that Tyler Lockett's going to get a massive bump in value in that, because it's going to be very hard to know when you expect those spike weeks from Lockett. But we know attached to Russell Wilson with his incredibly high average depth of target, this is someone that could go through and just drop a random 40-point bomb. And we're not going to have to try to predict when it is if we're going to be drafting Tyler at the 409. So yeah, I really like that Tyler Lockett pick at the end of the 4th. Maybe if we had to submit our starting lineup each and every week, it'd be a little bit harder to make that selection. But I think in a format like this, Tyler Lockett at the 409 is going to be a very, very easy pick. Now you have Higgins, Jamar Chase going directly after him. So now let's pull this back around. And at the 504, okay, so Travis Etienne and Josh Jacobs go. Okay, so this is going to put us in a... Okay, Darrell Henderson goes. So we're going to be in a tough spot at running back here. We should have potentially considered going with the running back like a Miles Sanders with our last round pick. We probably shouldn't have just jumped at Tyler Lockett so quickly, because I think now we are going to end up having to go with another receiver. Y'all know I am not a fan of Mike Davis whatsoever, but what's concerning is I'll pull up this draft board after we draft Adam Thielen right here as our 4th guy. So let's pull up this draft board, and I kind of want to highlight what we're actually seeing develop in that we have both Patriot 125 and Senior Skittles. They go through and they each draft 3 running backs at the very beginning to start their builds. So I think they're soaking up so much of the running back player pool just between those 2 guys that we're actually going to have a lot of teams that maybe decided to pass on running back early on, like myself, like King Tanner, like Ryan. Possibly we're forced a little bit to reach on running back, which of course I don't want to happen, but it is something that we have to acknowledge that if there are a handful of teams that just soak up all the running back value at the very beginning, it's going to be a lot harder to find that running back value that we would like falling to us in the 6th round. It could happen, but I don't think it's a guarantee. So it's just something we're going to want to monitor. David says, take Lamar and get Mark Andrews later. Mark Andrews wouldn't fall to the 609, my man. Mark Andrews wouldn't have fallen that far. And also, we're about to pass 100 likes on the live stream, my dudes. Thank you, everybody going down there and dropping that like. If you have yet to drop a like on the live stream, I don't know what you were doing. You probably need to go pick up like your phone or something, switch it to the camera, do like a self-facing thing, take a good hard look at yourself and ask, what is wrong with me? How do I fix my life? Because if you have not dropped a like on the stream, you definitely need to go down there and you need to find something to do to fix your life. Because, I mean, any support of the channel would have dropped a like on the stream by now. Charles says, how many non-best ball leagues are you in? So far, I'm in about 20 non-best ball leagues if you count our dynasty leagues as well. So guys, like I said, I mean, I'm going to be playing probably 250 fantasy leagues this year. So because we're playing 250 leagues, can y'all imagine me trying to go through and manage working on the YouTube channel as well as managing 250 teams throughout the entire year? That simply would literally be impossible. So I think we're going to kind of cap ourselves out at about 20 teams that are non-best ball. And that is what is so good about Underdog Fantasy. And that's why I'm really trying to get y'all to sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Obviously, it helps the channel tremendously, but I also think it makes you a significantly better fantasy football player and that you yourself can go out there and you can get in a ton of real money drafts that are going to be way more valuable than drafting against a computer. And at the same time, they're going to take none of your time away during the season. So if you go through, if you deposit $10 with promo code FLOCK, they'll add $25 to your account. So you have $35. You can either go through and do 7 $5 drafts. You can do 11 $3 drafts, and you can feel very comfortable with your fantasy football draft capabilities, understanding that you've gotten in more quality practice than any of your league mates. And at the same time, you're not going to have to submit the starting lineup. You're not going to have to do waivers for any of those teams because that's not going to be the function of the best ball format through the season. So the teams that you really care about that aren't best ball, you're just going to become a better drafter for those, and you can still spend all of your time on those leagues once we get to the season. So I think that best ball is 100% the best way to get is to become a much better fantasy football drafter. And here we have Kareem Hunt going at the 5'11", and this is kind of what we talked about with the teams that don't necessarily have the running backs at the beginning. I'm kind of surprised that he only gets a Kareem Hunt here and he goes with an Odell Beckham Jr. at the 6'02". I mean, obviously, it kind of helps us because we're hoping that receivers go in this range now that we already have 4 receivers on this team with Devontae Adams, CeeDee Lamb, Tyler Lockett, and Adam Thielen. We're trying to find some more running back value to pair with Najee Harris in a format like this. Langdog says, Mason needing to let Miley in before you get a like tonight. My man, Miley is big chilling out there in the hallway. She is completely fine. Okay, so Kenny Golladay at the 605. Golladay falling continuously in these drafts, but obviously it's for a great reason. I mean, you're concerned with the offense and you're concerned with his injury as well. Okay, so now let's go through. Let me try to move this camera a little bit. That way. Okay, let me know if that looks better. Let me know if y'all can see more of the overall screen. Okay, so now if we're going to be back on here, I think, oh my God. Okay, so Javonte Williams goes right before us. I don't think we can reach on a Trey Sermon here. I think we actually just need to draft a receiver. Damian Harris goes. That's very surprising. So they're soaking up running back value. They're trying to bully us around in this draft. And I think what we do is we continue to take value. And when we have a Dak Prescott falling to us here and we have a CeeDee Lamb on this roster, so we can go through and we can get that stack built in, I'm going to really like drafting a Dak Prescott. What this is going to allow us to do is we're only going to have to draft 2 quarterbacks on this team, and we can spend one of those extra roster spots on the running back position. So if they want to reach on a Damian Harris, if they want to go through and try to take away all of the available running backs for us, I'll be fine with it. We'll get our value at an elite quarterback spot with the Dak Prescott. Now, DJ Chark does go at the 6'10". I don't necessarily think we can get behind taking DJ Chark there. If you look at our most recent video where I go through and I discuss the DJ Chark ranking, I actually talk about how we lowered him in the rankings due to that finger injury behind Laviska Shenault and a few other guys. He's 1 tier down for me now. So I definitely do prefer Laviska over Chark now that Viska is going to be getting snaps in with Trevor Lawrence, and he's going to be getting those valuable reps in. When Michael Gallup goes, of course, seeing Michael Gallup go to Thomas. I didn't even realize that Thomas got the 101. Let's go and let's look at Thomas's team after we get... Okay, so they snipe us on Chase Edmonds as well. They really do not want us to have any running backs. So it looks like we're going to go back-to-back rookie running backs to start off this team. We have Najee Harris in the 2nd round. We're going to be bringing in Trey Sermon. Don't love the value of Sermon, but we really have no other option but to go through and to draft them, considering the fact that, I mean, what else are we going to do at the running back position? The Pacifier coming out with a donation says over 300 in the chat, only 127 likes. Wake up, flockers. Yes, sir. The Pacifier, thank you for supporting the channel. And of course, thank you for coming out and getting people on the ball. Guys, come on. Drop that like on the live stream if you have yet to already. Nobody's live streaming every single night like we are. And now let's go back up. And I kind of want to check out both JN's start as well as Thomas's. Because, okay, so here at the 101, he goes with a Christian McCaffrey, Travis Etienne at running back. I like, obviously, the value of Travis Etienne, and CMC's the locked-in running back 1. So then he gets Jefferson, Keenan Allen, Jamar Chase, Michael Gallup. I will say that I really like this build, and we have seen this build kind of remain consistent through a lot of other teams. I think it would have been very interesting, instead of taking a Michael Gallup here at the 6'12", if you think that a Mike Williams is in a similar tier and you already have Keenan Allen and you plan on drafting Justin Herbert, it would be intriguing to go through and draft a Mike Williams here instead of a Michael Gallup and get the double stack for the Los Angeles Rams offense. Let me know what y'all think about that, but I would really be looking at it as an advantageous spot, and that you're making an overall bet on a Justin Herbert. And if Herbert came out and he was elite, I think that you would be in a fantastic spot in this league. And the other team that I want to check out right now is going to be JN, who's drafting at the 102. He goes Dalvin, Darren Waller, Allen Robinson. It is interesting to see him go with an Allen Robinson over one of these elite receivers. I'm sorry, one of these other receivers. We recently moved up CeeDee Lamb over A-Rob in our overall wide receiver rankings. I think Lamb would probably be the guy that we prefer at this point. He also gets the value with Sanders and Josh Jacobs at running back, goes Laviska and Juju Smith-Schuster. So yeah, I really love the start from JN here. I think really the only pick that I would change is I would go from Allen Robinson to CeeDee Lamb, but I think the overall construction is what matters a little more. So of course, if you prefer Allen Robinson, go get Allen Robinson. It's not like CeeDee Lamb is the clear smash pick over him. Thomas says, I don't like Mike Williams. He is a bum. Okay, my man, that is completely understandable. It is kind of funny how Mike Williams, a lot of people are kind of talking about him as a sleeper this year, as if this wasn't a player that was drafted 7 overall in the 2017 class. I mean, this is someone that was really, I want to say, overrated coming out of Clemson. Of course, you were in just a school that produces elite receiver after elite receiver. This is recently after they put out Sammy Watkins and DeAndre Hopkins into the NFL. But it is intriguing to see Mike Williams all of a sudden get kind of a massive bump in these leagues. Mike Williams was someone you were getting almost in the double-digit rounds just about 2 months ago. Okay, so James Robinson, A.J. Dillon, a lot of running backs going at this turn here. Of course, we're trying to hope that we get some more running back value falling to us. I think when we take a Sermon here, it's not going to be a massive need, where if we do see a wide receiver that we think is a little more valuable, we will be willing to go with the receiver. But of course, if we could find the running back, I think that would probably be ideal just to balance out this team a little bit. Because a big thing that I talk about on Underdog Fantasy that doesn't necessarily translate to your other leagues is the difference between a best ball format and a regular league is you can't necessarily afford to just continue to take a best value available as you see it. And I think this has made me a significantly better drafter, because one thing that I've gotten a little stagnant with, I think, over the past 2 seasons in terms of my drafting capability is if I go into a format that I think we can exploit, and I think that we can just go through and draft 8 receivers in a row and we can really come out and we can win the league that way, I won't necessarily feel the need to create that balance Whereas creating the balance in a draft is definitely the hardest thing to do. And you're kind of forced to do that on underdog. So I don't love it, but I think it puts us in a spot where we're going to become a much better drafter. So Raheem Mostert goes, and if you look at the teams right behind us, with Bait Neary has 3 running backs, JN has 3 running backs, Thomas has 2, and one of them is going to be a Christian McCaffrey. So I think we're not too worried about them going RB here. So instead, I think we just get best value available at the receiver position. Really not going to be considering Michael Thomas. I'm just going to go with the Will Fuller and not necessarily think about it. Now, it is concerning to see the usage that you actually had from a Zach Ertz in the preseason for Dallas Goedert's own fantasy value. And I kind of maybe have to bump down Dallas Goedert a little bit with how aggressively we've been drafting him. But yeah, we're going to go with a Will Fuller there at the 809. Just kind of thinking that the teams behind us are a little lacking at receiver. And I mean, I guess you could say that there's no way they go with the Dallas Goedert either. So if we do want Goddard, we could get him at the 904. But we're just mainly going to be seeing what they're doing. Okay, Dragon Isle says, Mason, can you do any drafts not on underdog for all the fans that are in states underdog isn't allowed, like Arizona? Thank you so much. My man, thank you, of course, for supporting the channel. And I'll say on our Dynasty Fantasy Football channel, we will be doing Dynasty drafts that are not on underdog. But for 2021, because I want to get in as many leagues as I can with as many members of this audience, I'm very sorry for the people that are in Arizona, Nevada, and Washington, Europe, and Australia that cannot get into these drafts. But I think if we're just looking at it through a macro sense, it makes the most sense for me to go through and do 3 to 4 of these best ball drafts tonight, because then I can get in as many drafts with y'all as possible. And at the same time, I can reach my goal and play in 250 leagues this year. Or if I start doing other drafts that aren't necessarily on underdog and I'm having to submit a starting lineup each and every week, guys, I'll be submitting players that are on bye. I'll be submitting players that are injured. I mean, I'm already in so many leagues to begin with. And at the same time, I'm going to be live streaming every single night throughout the year. I'm going to be live streaming every single Sunday morning. So yeah, I think that it's just very difficult for my own sanity to continue to join drafts that are not best ball. That's why I think underdog is perfect for us. And it can get as many people in these drafts as possible. Now, I will say in Dynasty, yes, we're going to be doing non-best ball drafts on Dynasty because it's a little bit of a different game. And yeah, now we get exactly what we wanted. So y'all see how what we did at that turn, and this is something that I talk about a lot, is we kind of evaluate the teams around us. And now we're going to get a Ronald Jones, and I love getting Ronald Jones in this format. I think Rojo fits this team perfectly. But let's go back and let's kind of reevaluate this draft board and what we were thinking whenever we went and took a Will Fuller in the 8th. So we went through and we saw that we had 6 picks between us. And yes, Ronald Jones was near the top in ADP, and Ronald Jones definitely would help out this team more than Will Fuller. But if we go through and if we look at what you actually had with the team constructions that drafted before us, Bait Near took Alvin Kamara, Darrell Henderson, Chase Edmonds, and at receiver, he only had A.J. Brown, T. Higgins, DJ Chark. So we were kind of assuming that he was going to have to go receiver. Very similar to JN. JN at running back had Dalvin Cook, Miles Sanders, Josh Jacobs. So he was overloaded at the running back position. Had the elite tight end in Darren Waller. At receiver, he only had Allen Robinson, LaVisca, and Juju. So we were assuming he was most likely going to have to go with the receiver position. At Thomas Wade, we have the same exact thing going on. CMC, Travis Etienne, loaded up on running back. So we kind of assume that he's going to have to go with the Devontae Parker. He's going to have to go with a Hollywood Brown. So that leads us to taking Will Fuller as the best receiver available, even though I probably prefer Ronald Jones in a team construction like this over Will Fuller. But we kind of wanted to get a little greedy. We wanted to see if we could get both the best receiver on the board and the best running back. This time it paid off. I don't necessarily know if it's going to happen every single time, but you definitely need to be paying attention to what the teams are doing around you when you go through these drafts. Okay, so now let's go Dallas Goedert. Logan Thomas goes before Dallas Goedert in this draft. Okay, so maybe that's due to the game that we had today and that it looked like Logan Thomas was making some pretty impressive catches out there. And then you also have Goddard. Kind of seeing Zach Ertz get the usage in the offense does have to scare you a little bit. So Dallas Goedert falling behind Logan Thomas is going to be intriguing. I want to see if that happens in the other leagues that we are going to do tonight. Now, James Conner, Melvin Gordon, like I said, I mean, yeah, you're going to be expecting a team like King Tanner. He has to kind of go out there. He has to go out of his way. He has to start bringing some of these running backs in. Oba coming out with a donation. Thank you, my man. Says Deontay Johnson, Tyler Lockett, or T. Higgins. Also, do you feel that people are underrating Saquon? I've heard he's been going in the second round of some leagues. Okay, first let's talk about the Saquon Barkley thing, because the Saquon Barkley thing I think is the most ridiculous thing in the world at this point. So I've said this so many times before, but just kind of a behind the scenes and how I see people produce fantasy football content. when you feel the pressure of people going through and telling you that you're stupid every single day, like y'all have no idea how many hate messages that I get, and I'm completely fine with it at this point. But it's very easy if you go out as a fantasy football content creator and you hate on a player that 10 other people have already hated on that week, and you say, this player is getting overdrafted, this is the sell that we want to go after. So that kind of happens where you notice that if you're watching a lot of people, if you're listening to a lot of people in a 1 to 2 week period, you'll have everybody having the same exact take, especially if it's about a certain player being overvalued. If they think a Saquon Barkley is overvalued for reasons X, Y, and Z, what's going to happen is one person may make a very good point in why Saquon Barkley should not be going in the top 5 picks of this year's draft. And then what happens is a lot of other people hear that and go, okay, well, he made that good point. Let me go make that same good point on my end of the spectrum. And if I'm aligned with him, people can't hate me that much if I go wrong. So what ends up happening is you have this echo chamber where people just start repeating themselves over and over and over and over again. So I'm sure that y'all have heard it by now that people that don't necessarily want to come up with their own opinions, they just want to copy and paste what other people say. I mean, they're coming out and everybody's saying the same thing. Everybody's screaming that you don't want to be drafting Saquon Barkley. So Saquon Barkley is falling to the beginning of the second round in some drafts, which should never ever happen. And I'm out here saying there are things to be worried about with Saquon Barkley. We'll get to that in just 1 second. Let's go through, figure out what kind of quarterback we're going to be drafting here. We definitely want to be going QB. I think we get a quarterback here, then we're done with the QB position the rest of the draft. I think that what we probably do is just take, do we just take Jalen Hurts? We're just going to take Jalen Hurts for his rushing upside. I think that we don't necessarily need a safe floor when we already have Dak Prescott. So we're going to go Jalen Hurts. He's also on the opposite buy, so we don't have to draft a second QB. And yet Trey Lance goes directly after. I'm assuming they're going to have some quarterbacks going in this range. JN doesn't have a single quarterback up to this point, and I think QBs are going to be the best players available. But anyway, getting back to Saquon Barkley. So I'm sure that y'all have heard every single person on the planet by now come out and say that Saquon Barkley is overrated. So what happens is this echo chamber just continues to go until you get a price adjustment to a point that it's ridiculous, until a price goes from a player being slightly overvalued to where he's now a massive value. Now, go back to where we were at with Josh Jacobs at the beginning of this offseason. At the beginning of this offseason, I was speaking on the fact that Josh Jacobs was a very overrated running back in fantasy football when he was going in the middle to the beginning of the third round of fantasy drafts. And since then, I am not saying I started it, guys. A lot of other people were saying this as well. But the echo chamber kind of continued with Josh Jacobs over the past month, where you see that nothing changes with his situation. But when fantasy analysts feel an opportunity that they can go and say a player's overrated without getting that much hate, they're going to jump on that. And we're going to jump on the fact that we can take Latavius Murray here as a running back 4 on a running back needy team. So what ends up happening is now that you have someone like a Josh Jacobs, who I hated at a much higher price, he falls to where instead of having to take him over Robert Woods, which is a horrible decision, you're now just having to take him over Odell Beckham Jr. And I'm going, of course we're doing that. So I will be very hesitant to go through. And if you hear everybody talking about the same thing on a week-to-week basis and not necessarily differentiating themselves, be a little careful that you don't react with the crowd and just continue to push a player down the board, because maybe a player needs a small adjustment. But when some person screams that out loud and then 10 other people think that's a good idea, then what ends up happening is that player goes way down below. So Saquon Barkley is still a perfectly fine pick in the middle of the first round. Yes, he has his red flags, but the upside is there based on the talent profile, based on his usage in his offense, and now he's going to get every single target and every single touch in the red zone. So please be a little careful about that. And let me get to your second question, which is Deontay Johnson, Tyler Lockett, or T. Higgins. Personally, if it's going to be a best ball format, we're going to go with the Tyler Lockett, considering the fact that you don't know when you have to start him. If it's going to be a regular PPR league where you submit your starting lineup each and every week, I'm going to be going with a T. Higgins, who I've been significantly higher on compared to consensus for about, I want to say 2 months now. And yeah, his price continues to rise. Maybe we have to reevaluate that in a couple of weeks, but I think right now T. Higgins is going to be the guy that I want out of that situation. Okay, so Party Till She Saw It says, Hurts looked poised and showed nice touch to his tight ends. Yeah, I will say that with a Jalen Hurts, I'm not necessarily caring that much about his poise in the pocket or him going through and making nice passes in about 1/4 of a preseason game. I'm more so concerned that we have seen this quarterback have access to the same ceiling rushing as Lamar Jackson. And yeah, he's probably not going to be that good of a quarterback from an NFL standpoint. But for fantasy, I think that Jalen Hurts could be an elite level player. Okay, so I see Sean says he's waiting to drop a like on the live stream so we can be our 200th like. Guys, drop a like on the live stream so we can get to at least 199 so Sean drops that damn like. Are you kidding me, my man? And yeah, so we get that quarterback run exactly like I was saying when we took a Jalen Hurts here. I mean, it was going to be a clear call to go quarterback, that you looked at the teams after us and they were most likely going to be looking at that position as well. And also we knew that that run was about to start. So of course we'd rather be drafting a player at the beginning of the run rather than at the end of the run. So this is more so just reading the room, just like we did when we decided to go with a Will Fuller over Ronald Jones and still get Rojo on the way back around. Here, I really thought that Jalen Hurts was the best quarterback available. We knew that there was going to be a quarterback run, so we didn't want to have to wait and then possibly end up with, instead of a Jalen Hurts, a Matt Ryan, which would have been disgusting. So yeah, just getting Jalen Hurts there at the 10:09 is going to be ideal. Okay, Sir Dilly says, my team's looking interesting. What do you think, Mason? Let's go through and let's pull this up, my man. Okay, so Sir Dilly, let's go. Okay, so at the 1-06, so he goes Ezekiel Elliott, DK Metcalf, Amari Cooper, DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson. Okay, so he goes with that hero running back build. I love the Javonte Williams value at the 607. I was kind of drooling at this point, thinking that there was a possibility that we actually got Javonte Williams as our running back too at the 609. So I do like that. You also get the stack with Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf. So that is intriguing. And then we go down, you get Jalen Waddle, you get Zach Moss, Tony Pollard. Zach Moss continuing to rise up in these drafts. Tony Pollard, I do not like handcuffing Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. When you take Zeke in the first, you're kind of making a bet that you already hit on that pick. And that's going to be a pick that pays off with its ADP. And now, oh my God, I do not like the idea of doing this. But I think we take a David Johnson. We kind of get the guaranteed touches in here. He doesn't have the same buy as any of our other players. I would have definitely preferred having a Devin Singletary in this range. But if we get a David Johnson, that's going to be our 5th running back. And we're no longer going to have to draft running backs on this roster. So if we get David Johnson, we know that we're probably going to have guaranteed touches to start the year until Trey Sermon can come on in the second half. And then we can go through and we can really hammer in the wide receiver position. Before the announcement that we actually had surgery for Rashad Bateman and he was not going to be ready until September, and we know that kind of taking him out of training camp, taking him out of the preseason for a rookie receiver is definitely going to be a big deal for me. We most likely would have gone with the Rashad Bateman if it was not for the groin injury. But with the groin injury, I think with this build, it makes a little more sense to just draft David Johnson. I believe this is the first league that we have drafted David Johnson in this offseason. So yeah, we're going to take Johnson here, and we're most likely going to just go receiver, tight end in this draft. Yeah, we're literally done at running back, and we're done at QB. We don't have to concern ourselves with either position. Okay, so let's pull this up. So QB, running back. I'm sorry, those are the positions we're not looking at. We're only looking at receiver, tight end. So tight end, we've gotten to the point of the draft that it's going to be very gross. I think instead we just go get a receiver that we think is going to be playing a lot of snaps. We do already have 5 receivers. I think maybe we can cap ourselves on this team, not have to take that many. I don't want to continue to do this, but I think we kind of just take Randall Cobb. It's been a mistake of me passing on Randall Cobb in the past. I mean, once the Green Bay Packers went out there and traded for him, I was looking at this as a situation saying, I don't want anything to do with Randall Cobb. And we were actually passing on him when he was being drafted in the 14th round. So I've kind of since then looked at the overall depth chart and gone, okay, well, Amari Rodgers, a very bad prospect coming out of Clemson. You have Marquez Valdes-Scantling playing the field stretching role. I mean, with the Randall Cobb here, not necessarily my most exciting selection, but I think just the fact that he's literally staying with Aaron Rodgers. This is someone that Rodgers said, if I'm staying in Green Bay, I want Randall Cobb to come back. So maybe he provides us just a random spike week where he gets 2 touchdowns and that slides into our starting lineup here. So yeah, let me know what y'all think between going with a Randall Cobb and a David Johnson. Do you think it would have been better to go with a Rashad Bateman and a Nyheim Hines? That could be completely possible. So please, please, please let me know your thoughts on that. Blick says Lindsey and Ingram are starting over David Johnson, though, aren't they? I do not think that is the case whatsoever, my man. I don't know where you got that information from, but I think if you look at just the team investment into the respective players, David Johnson most likely projects to be the starting running back this year. Thomas says Ramondre Stevenson getting good carries. My man Thomas, is Stevenson really in the game right now? Isn't it like the 4th quarter for the Patriots? Let me look this up real quick. Let's look up the Patriots score. If it's the 4th quarter and Stevenson's getting carries, I'm not necessarily too excited about that. Okay, so it is the fourth quarter. Stevenson is getting some carries. Hopefully he kind of rises some of these best ball drafts because I have taken a decent amount of Stevenson in the very last round. So if he starts going in the 16th, 17th, I think we can be excited about the price that we paid beforehand, and we don't necessarily have to concern ourselves with investing any more into Stevenson. So Ian says unofficial depth chart. Guys, please, 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 please. Do not be looking at the depth chart right now. I think the depth chart is going to be something we really don't want to pay attention to on August 12th. Maybe when we get to the beginning part of September, the end of August, then we can start looking at depth charts. But right now, I'm just going to be literally closing my eyes and completely ignoring them. Okay, so guys, please do not be listening to the depth charts. I mean, right now, Atlanta has Kyle Pitts as the tight end 3 on their depth chart. That should show you exactly how much depth charts at this point of the offseason really matter. I'm not doing that whatsoever. Okay, so Rashad Penny at the 1404. So Penny's someone that I actually just made a video about, that he has risen so much in his ADP over about the past month. And I think it's kind of reasonable. More so, it's due to the fact that Rashad Penny's actually out there practicing and he's looking healthy, because we know that if this is a healthy running back and if anything were to occur to a Chris Carson, he vaults up into being a 3-down guy. So with the Penny, I know that there are some positive reports. I'm not too concerned with the positive reports coming out of camp. I'm more so concerned with the fact that Rashad Penny's actually out there and he's actually practicing. Okay, so let's see where Sir Dilly decides to take this. So he has, I guess he could go with the Gronk. Yeah, I kind of assumed that he was going to go Gronk. So we really need a tight end here. I think we have a very easy selection of going with an Anthony Firkser. So it says he's knocked down the depth chart. Let's see what this means. So he's listed as the second in tight end on the depth chart. So what we'll do is we'll just go through, and instead we are going to ignore the depth chart. We're going to continue to draft Anthony Firkser here. If we get preseason play where Firkser is actually playing with the second team, then I'll be concerned. But for now, I think that he is the favorite to be the pass catching tight end in Tennessee. So we're going to be taking Firkser here as our first tight end at the end of the 14th round. Okay, Cole Kmet goes to JN. Obviously, we do not like Cole Kmet going off the board. Cole Kmet would have been the other tight end that I would have been drafting here, but I think that he is fine value, so of course we can't get mad at anybody taking him here. Okay, so John Brown at the 14-12 by Thomas. John Brown, someone who's been falling as of late due to the fact that it looks like Bryan Edwards is playing over him. Let's go back and let's kind of just look at this board. I'm going to show the top of this board for anybody who's just now coming out to the live stream. So we drafted here from the 104. And reminder, guys, this is a league where you start 3 wide receivers, half point PPR, best ball, and you're going to have 18 total rounds. So we got the stack with Dak Prescott. We actually ended up also going out and getting our number 1 receiver in Devontae Adams, which of course I am very excited about. Now at the 1504, we're not going to be looking QB. We're not going to be looking running back. We're already done at those respective positions. It's literally just going to be receiver or tight end. And I think we're kind of stuck in a range where, of course, Hunter Henry has to be falling down your board. Hunter Henry suffering the shoulder injury is no bueno for his situation. But we need a tight end desperately here. We're going to have to draft 3 on the roster. I think by the time we get back up on the clock, receivers are still going to be there, but tight ends, not necessarily. So we're going to take Hunter Henry here, a very bad pick. I'm going to admit that right away, but we need a tight end. We have no other option. So we're going to go with a Hunter Henry. Let's scroll this down to the bottom of the board so everybody can see it. Okay, so now let's go through. Sean says, I pumped up those like numbers for you. You're welcome. Thank you, my dude. Thank you, Sean. Mike says, how can people be looking at depth charts when they don't even have Devin Duvernay as a starting receiver? Mike, did you accidentally share your login information with JN? I think that you need to check the security of your Gmail account, because it sounds like somehow JN was able to log in for you and start sending out some messages. But anyway, after we go Henry, got Deshaun Jackson going at the 1505. So Jackson, definitely a player that you prefer more in a league where you don't have to know when you're starting your lineup. But at the same time, I mean, I'm not going to draft Deshaun Jackson in a single league this year. given the fact that they have Tutu Atwell. They have someone they drafted in the second round. At the same time, they took Van Jefferson in the second round of last year's NFL draft class. So now they have Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, a second round receiver from the 2020 class, who we definitely didn't like in Van Jefferson, a second round wide receiver from the 2021 class in Tutu Atwell, who, yes, weighs 155 pounds, but he has elite speed. He was very productive at Louisville. I think he actually plays the field stretching role for that offense the second that Deshaun Jackson gets hurt. And who knows how long you have Deshaun Jackson. You most likely have Jackson for what, about 2, maybe 3 weeks? Jan says, keep living in denial of Devin Duvernay being wide receiver 1 for the Baltimore Ravens, Mason. My man, I will say that, I literally saw Devin Duvernay very often at the Rec. I went to school with Devin Duvernay and Colin Johnson. I saw them both very, very often. So you would think that I would be the one out here pumping up Devin Duvernay wide receiver 1. But it is interesting right now with both Hollywood Brown and Rashad Bateman dealing with injuries. At the same time, I don't necessarily think we can come out here and we can start hyping up Devin Duvernay. I'll say that I think that he is a perfectly fine selection considering the injuries to the other receivers, if you want to take him near one of the last rounds of a best ball format like this. But at the same time, I'm not saying that he's the wide receiver 1 in Baltimore. I can't do it. Derek says, this draft 50 or 5, are we doing a $50 next draft? Because we had so many people talking smack to us in the YouTube comment section today. We're either doing 100 or a 50. Y'all are voting if we're doing 100 or a 50. This one's just a $5 warm up. We warm up every live stream with a $5 draft. That way I can make sure we're kind of tuned in. That way I can make sure the live stream and everything goes well, because I don't want to be in a $100 draft and then all of a sudden the live stream shuts down. We don't have audio on it and I'm scrambling. And at the same time, we have the pressure of a $100 draft going. Nathan says, look at my 103, please. And says 2 stacks, Chark over Laviska Shenault. I can't get DJ Chark over Laviska. My man, I'll be looking at the 103 as soon as we get done with this selection here at the 1609. But we are going to need receivers, tight ends. That's the only thing that we're looking at this point. Okay, so obviously Blake Jarwin is someone that's been falling as of late. And I know a lot of people want to look at as Zach Ertz, and most likely Zach Ertz is going to rise just a little bit in ADP, considering the fact that he goes out there and he gets some usage in the preseason. But I think instead we probably take a player that I think is going to be a little bit of a value for us. So both teams ahead of us, looks like they have most likely a need at QB. Yeah, so Ben Roethlisberger goes at the 1607. Okay, so that's honestly kind of what we should learn to expect here. So the 1609, come on, let us get our guy. I think that he is a pretty damn good value here. So he goes Allen Lazard, and I know Diami Brown didn't do anything this game, but did he get injured or something? Is that why Diami Brown's falling to us this far down? I think that we take him at the 1609. We don't really have to think about it that much. Yeah, so you also have Curtis Samuel with his injury that he's dealing with. Curtis Samuel really has not been able to get on the field yet for Washington. So Diami Brown, maybe this is an overreaction to one preseason game, but if we can get him at the 1609 after Byron Pringle, Rashad Perriman, Allen Lazard, MVS, Deshaun Jackson, Tyrell Williams, we're going to be very excited about that. Okay, and also, my dudes, we're going to be doing another draft after this. Just make sure you're signed up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. A $10 deposit gets you my 2021 draft guide, gets you our 2021 rankings and tiers. It gets you $25 added onto your account. At the same time, there's nothing that you can do to support this stream that is better than depositing $10 on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. Raheel coming out says, Ramondre Stevenson, TD in the preseason. Guys, y'all know Stevenson was one of those sleeper running backs that I was saying draft in the very last round of your drafts. I don't necessarily know if we can get excited about a fourth quarter touchdown, though. Of course, I'll probably be looking at just some highlights. That way I can go through, hype myself up about it, but I don't think I should be saying that much about it in the stream right now. Okay, so now I think that a lot of people are probably going to be telling me to go with the Blake Jarwin here. I'm concerned that we have just more Dalton Schultz on this team than we initially thought. So instead, I think we go with the receiver that I really like. Y'all know how big of a fan I am of him, and I want to continue to raise up our overall exposure. So we're probably going to go with the... Yeah, we're going to be so weak at... No, we can't do it. We have to go Jarwin. I know Jarwin's declining, but the problem is we only have Anthony Firkser, Hunter Henry, and Blake Jarwin at tight end on this team. And we are really going to have no options outside of like a Hayden Hurst in the last round for this next one. So I think we go with the Blake Jarwin at the 1704. But let's go through and let's do a recap of the top of the draft. And let's also look at the 103 for Bierman. So let's go through at the 103, Alvin Kamara, AJ Brown, George Kittle. I will say that I love the George Kittle pick. I think getting an elite tight end in this league is definitely going to be advantageous. Like I said, I prefer George Kittle over CeeDee Lamb. I was hoping that we were going to get Kittle falling to us at the 304. Then we get T. Higgins, Darrell Henderson. You kind of sniped us on Henderson as well. I thought we were going to have to take Henderson when we only grabbed one running back within the first 4 rounds. So you snipe us on both Kittle and Henderson. Then you take DJ Chark. Like I said, I really think that we want to be going with Laviska Shenault at this point over DJ Chark, considering the finger injury. And trust me, I was on the train saying that DJ Chark was the wide receiver 1A compared to Laviska Shenault being the wide receiver 1B before the injury. But I think now that you're actually having Viska getting the quality training camp reps in and also those preseason reps with a new coaching staff, with a new quarterback, that's just going to be too valuable to be taking DJ Chark over him with. Then you get Chase Edmonds. You snipe us again at the 703. Jarvis Landry at the 810. Russell Gage at the 903. You get Lance to stack with Kittle. You also get Trevor Lawrence to stack with DJ Chark. Yeah, so this was you get Rashad Bateman at a massive value. I had to pass on him given the groin injury. Alexander Madison, Dalvin Cook, Tyrell Williams, Tevin Coleman, Dawson Knox. I really like that team. That's a fantastic team. Aaron says, I can't get verified for Underdog. Shake my head. I'm trying to join your drafts. Yeah, guys, like I said, if y'all are new to Underdog, you are going to have to get your account verified that you're a real person. And the main reason behind that is the fact that when you use promo code FLOCK, they're adding $25 to your account to go through and to hop into these drafts with us. Or maybe you would just want to play random people in the lobby if you think you can beat random people in the Underdog lobby. And the thing is, they have to make sure that you're a real person, because the last thing that they can have is just you going out there and making 10 spam accounts using promo code FLOCK on all of them, because then that would just be just stealing money straight up from Underdog. And of course you can't do that. So they need to make sure that you're a real person. You haven't signed up for an Underdog account before. So it's going to take a little bit of time for your Underdog account to get verified. For me, it took about 4 to 5 minutes. I know other people says it takes them no time at all. It literally happened in 0 seconds, which I don't understand how that happened if they had to verify me for 4 minutes or whatever it was. But make sure that you're going through and you're doing that process before you hop into one of these streams with us. It's very, very simple. Literally, you just have to type in your address, type in your name, and I think that's it. I think maybe a certain state or two will make you take a picture of your license. I didn't have to take a picture of my own. I literally just had to go Mason Dodd, type in my address, and then they went and then check that I was a real person and let me in. But make sure you're signing up for Underdog Fantasy beforehand, and we are going to get, oh my gosh, I thought we almost got KJ Hamler falling to us. I was going to get so excited to get KJ Hamler as the last receiving option on this team. So instead, we are going to get Kadarius Toney. It's going to be a pick that rounds out our team. And I'll scroll up, show you all the top of the board, show you all the bottom of the board before we get our next draft going. So yeah, let's show that one. And let's go to the live chat real quick. And I actually forgot to turn on the chat on subscriber only. So let me make sure that we go and make the chat subscriber only real quick. And also I will go through and I'm going to type a poll in the chat. Like I said, guys, we had a ton of people coming out to us in the YouTube comment section and telling us that they were going to be able to come out here and steal my money tonight. So instead of just doing $5 drafts, we're going to get another $50. We're going to get another $100 draft going. So I will ask y'all in the chat right now if you want to do a $50, if you want to do a $100 draft. So of course, just vote on it. You don't have to tell me exactly what y'all want. And then we're going to get that going because I want to get some high stakes drafts going tonight. We'll get in another $50. I mean, we'll get in another $5 draft if that's what y'all want, but I want to at least get in one $50 or one $100 draft. And guys, if y'all are watching this as a video later on and y'all want to make sure that you come out to every single one of these live streams, or at least you know when we're live streaming so you can have the option to come out and draft against me, make sure you subscribe to the channel. But more importantly, even if you're already subscribed, you need to hit the bell next to the subscribe button, because what that is going to do is that's going to send you a notification when we go live. That way you can come out to these live streams. You can get in drafts with us, because I don't know if y'all can tell, but I've been having a ridiculous amount of fun in these live streams every single night. Okay, so a lot of people are saying, what about the just watching option? Guys, if you're just going to be watching, just vote on what you want to see. Do you want to see a 50? Do you want to see 100? Y'all vote on that. But it looks like a $100 draft is going to be, it looks like a $100 draft is going to be what we're doing. So let's go through and let's get a $100 draft set up. I'm going to send the link in the live chat, but it's going to say join our $100 draft here. It's going to be very clear with exactly the link to join. Don't go to the lobby. Do not join a draft from the lobby because I'm creating private leagues for all the subscribers of this channel to be in. And let's go through. Let's get this going. Last time I mean, a couple streams ago, I tried to set up a $50 league and I accidentally set up a $5 league and sent that out in the live chat. But this one's going to be a 50. We already got this going. I'm sorry. Okay, let's leave this draft. We need to set up 100, not a 50. We're setting up 100. Okay, so I see Alan says he wants 5 drafts tonight. We'll see how many people come out. We'll see how many people come out to the stream. It's going to be a little difficult because we did have those preseason games. But of course, if you want this stream to go on as long as possible, the best thing that you can do is go through, drop that like button, subscribe to the channel, because of course that shows me that you really, really enjoy these teams. And before I send this link out, okay, I need your full attention. This is a $100 draft. This is a pretty dang big deal for us here. Okay. I need you to send up a prayer. I need you to send some positive thoughts in my direction. I need you to drop a like on the video. I need you to subscribe. I need you to do a little dance or whatever you're doing in your room, because we need to call all the positive energy for me to get the 101 in this draft. The few times that we have gotten the 101, they've been in $5 drafts that literally are 1/20th of the importance of this one draft. So let's get the 101. Do not give me the 111. Do not give me the 110. For the love of God, don't give me the 109. We want the 101 here. So let's send those out and let's send this link out right now. $100 draft. Let's get this going. Party Till She's Hot says you'll get pick 3. Let's get the 101. Let's get the 101. That's what I want to get. And let's switch this over. And guys, like I said, if you want to join a draft, your best shot's going to be these $100 leagues, because I mean, the $100 leagues fill a lot slower. Like you're going to see a $5 league will literally fill in 5 seconds, where this one, it's going slow. I mean, still, we have 7 spots available right now. I think that this is going to fill no problem. We have 5 spots available. So yeah, let's go through. Let's do this. And JN comes out, says stacks on stacks. He has the Raiders, Carr, Jacobs, Waller, Edwards, Chicago, Fields, A-Rob, Komet, Goodwin, all at value. My man, that's impressive. I don't know if we can consider Goodwin a value at any range that he's going. But anyway, guys, we got 4 spots left in this draft, 3 spots left in this draft if you want to come out here, if you want to hop in. And oh my gosh. So the pressure is on here. 2 more spots. Give me the 101. Drop a like on the stream. Send some thoughts my way. We want Christian McCaffrey. This is $100 on the line. There's $1,200 in this league pot right now. $1,200 essentially on the line. Of course, first place doesn't get all the money, and that gets divided between the top 3 at a little bit of a dispersed rate. But anyway, okay, guys, we have 2 more spots available if anybody wants to hop into this $100 fantasy draft. So make sure you come out. Make sure you get into this league. I'll send the link out one more time if anybody wants to get in the $100 league. Okay, guys, don't tell me we're not filling this league. There's no way we don't fill a $100 draft. We didn't fill the $500 draft, but I mean, I think the $100 draft, we have had no problem filling these up to date. Lank Dog says, screw it. Why not? Looks like we're getting Lank Dog in here. Most likely we're going to have 1 more spot after it. Aaron Law says 107 incoming. 107. I wouldn't want the 107. We want the 101 or the 102. I will settle for the 102. If we get this filled, I will settle for the 102. We're going to be completely fine with that. But we got 2 spots left. We got 1 more spot left, guys. So come out here. Come show what you have. We have gotten so much hate in the YouTube comment section. People telling me that they're better than me. And what other fantasy football YouTuber is coming out and every single night putting at the minimum $100 of their own money on the line to exactly see if you're better than them? Nobody is. I am that confident in what we can do. So yeah, let's see if anybody else is willing to take the challenge. It looks like this is probably going to be our only $100 draft of the night. Most likely we're going to get like a $5 draft going after this. Seth says he would hop in, but he lives in Washington. My man, I am sorry to hear that. We got 1 more spot. We got 430 people out here in this live stream. What I'll do is I'll send out a message on Discord. Let me send out a message on Discord. I'm sure that we'll get it filled if we do that. Actually, no, it gets filled right now. Okay. The 101, lock it in. Drop a like on the live stream. Get it for us. This is my fault. This is my fault. I said, don't give us the 111. Don't give us the 110. Don't give us the 109. And I said, stop with that garbage. But I didn't go all the way down to the 108. So I guess when they heard me and they heard me say, we don't want the 111, the 110, the 109, I guess they were going, okay, well, I guess we can give them the 108. So it's my fault. Next time I need to specify, don't give me the 112. Don't give me the 111. Don't give me the 110. Don't give me the 109. Don't give me the 107. Don't give me the 106. So on until we get to the 102. So that's my fault. We're going to learn our lesson going forward. We're going to do what we need to do to get the 101. What I'll probably end up trying to do after this live stream, to be completely honest, instead of going out and sending out the draft guides and the rankings for everybody that's used promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, instead of doing that, I'll probably kind of just enroll in some online hacker courses. That way I can learn how to just go behind the scenes and give us the 101 manually, give us the 102 manually, because I won't give us the 101 in every single draft because that would be too obvious that I'm hacking the system. But anyway, the 108, we are going to be out here. We're going to be crushing regardless. I'm telling you, we got a strategy and we are going to be perfectly fine with this one. Thomas says, laughing my ass off, CMC will fall to the 108. How funny would that have been? CMC makes it to the 108, or at least like a Dalvin Cook. Okay, but this is the draft. This is the draft that y'all see the 108 pull a perfect team. Okay, if you're ever going to think, my God, the 108 is OP, the 108 is overpowered, I'm going to make you think that this draft. And we have another veteran of the game in Top Dog out here with the shield. He was in our $100 draft last night as well. So it looks like he's coming out here. He's coming to take our money. Let's see if we can show up as the flock and try to crush him and try to tell him, hey, you're not bullying us around here in this draft. So he's going to be on the clock after 4 running backs go. Maybe he goes Devontae Adams. Maybe he goes with the running back, because I know these guys that really have a lot of experience on Underdog, they love getting their running backs in the first, then going wide receiver heavy after. But he instead goes with a Devontae Adams, who, of course, I would have been happy if he would have fallen to us. And now that we are on the clock, Travis Kelce goes. And, okay, so I guess we get a Tyreek Hill. I was really hoping that we were going to get one of Kelce. I was hoping for Kelce. I was hoping that Hill was going to go over him. But we're going to get Travis Kelce here. And it is what it is. Hopefully we get someone that we like falling to us in the second round. It's kind of a dead man zone where, yeah, we could take a Saquon Barkley. But a big thing is we already have Saquon Barkley in so many leagues. Maybe we should have just gone with Barkley, to be honest. I'm trying to diversify a little bit just because we're going to be playing in so many leagues this year. But I probably should have gone with the Saquon Barkley. I should have gone with Barkley. I should have just sucked it up. Because what he would have allowed us to do is get a wide receiver that we would have really liked in the second, not necessarily have to worry about it. So if I could go back, if I could take this back, we would go with the Barkley. Party till she's hot says, solid pick, Mason. My man, I'm hoping. There's $100 on the line. This is going to be a stressful draft. Masked Enigma says, love the instant regret. Oh, guys, y'all know. You're going to see that a lot in this live stream. Okay, so Hopkins, Ridley off the board. So it looks like we're not going to be going back-to-back receiver once you have those guys off. I know a lot of people would be screaming to go with the DK Metcalf. Personally, I just think DK Metcalf's so much closer to the A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson range than he is to the DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley. I mean, I have another video coming out tomorrow breaking down our wide receiver rankings in depth. And I'll say, if you want any of my rankings for the 2021 season, the easiest thing that you can do is go out there and support the channel by using promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, depositing $10. They'll give you $25 into your account on top of that. And here we're going to be taking Antonio Gibson. I mean, in the preseason, yes, J.D. McKissic got that usage in the receiving game. Antonio Gibson still got targeted out of the backfield, not necessarily exactly the role that we were looking for, but it's just one preseason game. It's one quarter of the football. So we're going to go with Tyreek Hill and Antonio Gibson to start this draft. But yes, like I said, guys, you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. If we hit 10,000 users with promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, they're going to pay for me to fly people down to Tampa, Florida, for us to go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. They're going to sponsor a 24-hour live stream. They're going to sponsor a Florida Flock meetup. So first off, you should be doing that just to come down to Tampa to go to a Bucs game with me. And second off, you're also going to get paid $25, where Underdog's going to add $25 to your account when you make a $10 deposit. You're going to get my 2021 rankings, my 2021 tiers. You're going to get my 2021 draft guide with hundreds of pages of information. So please make sure that you take advantage of that deal. Please make sure you do that, because nothing supports the show more, and I genuinely appreciate it. And here, Top Dog out here with the shield emblem flexing on us. He goes Devontae Adams and Najee Harris, the exact start that we had in the last draft. So at this point, honestly, I'm kind of fine with receivers falling to us. I'm fine with running backs falling to us because we're not necessarily needing to reach on any given position here when we take a wide receiver and a running back in the first two. Okay, Boggo says, always seem to be getting up next to you. We're going for the snipes. Where's Boggo? I mean, where's Rugger in this draft? Rugger, oh my gosh, you are right next to us. So yeah, you went Barkley, and yeah, I was going to go Jonathan Taylor if you decided to pass on JT. And obviously, I dropped JT down to the 207 in our second edition of the rankings when we had the initial Carson Wentz and the initial Quentin Nelson injury. But now that he's trending into playing for week 1, I think that Jonathan Taylor here at the 204 is going to be a fantastic selection. Isaac coming out with a donation says, hello, I'm a new sub. It's so nice to find someone who live streams mocks so often. I love playing fantasy football. My man, Isaac, I am happy to have you a part of the vlog. Thank you so much for deciding to come out here and to decide to support the channel. And I'll say these are not mock drafts, guys. These are real money drafts. I know a lot of people go through and they'll do a mock draft. They'll do a mock draft against a computer as if that does anything and as if that's valuable whatsoever. I can't believe that people actually would go and watch someone draft against a computer for no money on the line. I mean, no, that we're going out here and we're live streaming every single night, exclusively real money drafts. I mean, y'all have not seen a mock draft on this channel, and I don't know how long. There's no such thing as a mock draft on Underdog Fantasy because at the minimum, we're doing leagues that have a $5 buy-in. You can join some leagues that have a $3 buy-in, but yeah, every league that you're going to see here is going to have a buy-in attached to it, which is what I think makes this channel so much different than others. And I think that this content is literally more useful than anything else you're going to be able to find on YouTube and podcast, whatever it is. I don't think there's anything better than going through and providing live commentary over live drafts. Okay, so Top Dog goes with a Robert Woods at the 305. So let's see where the pacifier decides to go in this round. I think possibly when we go with the Tyreek Hill. So DeAndre Swift goes for the pacifier. Zachary on the clock. We got some veterans out in this draft. He goes with the J.K. Dobbins. J.K. Dobbins was going to be my selection if he fell to us. Now I think with Amari Cooper off the PUP, we are going to be selecting Amari Cooper here in the third round. I would have possibly gone with someone else if it wasn't for the fact that we know that Amari Cooper has a 0% chance of making back to us at the 405. So yeah, we are going to be going with Amari Cooper, not necessarily thinking about it too much. And I know a lot of people are going to be screaming, but Mason, Terry McLaurin. Amari Cooper's a better wide receiver on a better offense. I'm taking Amari. Okay, so now Mike Evans goes at the 310 as well. So maybe we get a running back falling back to us. Honestly, there are like 5 different players that I'm fine with having at the 405 here, so I'm not stressing about anything at all, really. Now, if we go through, if we look at this team, so it looks like A. Robinson here has started a draft off with no receivers, which is definitely intriguing. Going CMC, Joe Mixon, Darren Waller. Now, I will say this is the exact start that I would have done from the 101. I think that it's going to be very dangerous for the other people in this league, especially the people in this range. How did y'all let A. Robinson get Joe Mixon, Darren Waller added to a Christian McCaffrey roster? This is going to be an extremely strong build in that he's going to be able to go slim at running back. He's going to be able to go slim at tight end, and he can probably roster 9 receivers on this team without having to stress about it. And we just passed 300 likes in the live stream. Thank you, everybody, for going down there, dropping that like on the stream. Obviously, it helps us tremendously. And also, I think that we have passed a milestone recently in subscribers as well. So I pulled that up. Yeah, we have 29. We're going to have 29,500 subscribers at the end of this stream, which is, of course, massive. Now we get sniped on Mahomes. I would have loved to have Mahomes falling back to us at the 405, considering we took Tyreek Hill at the 108. I thought it was a real possibility that we had Mahomes falling to us because the Kelsey team went Kelsey right before us. So yeah, no, we're going to be back on the clock. There are 2 receivers that I love. So he goes with a Cooper Kupp. My top 2 receivers were going to be Cooper Kupp, Chris Godwin. I'm not considering going Darrell Henderson or Miles Sanders here. So we're going to be going with a Chris Godwin, a very, very easy selection. We're adding him to a team that has both Amari Cooper, Tyreek Hill already in the wide receiver core, and also Antonio Gibson at running back. I really love this team. Keep in mind, you have to start 3 receivers in a build like this. So DJ Moore goes to the 406. And obviously, when we draft 3 wide receivers in the first 4 rounds, I kind of want this to be a wide receiver run. I kind of want us to get a running back that we really like coming back to us. But a big thing is there's probably not going to be a quarterback that we're considering in the 5th, to be completely honest, because the 5th round quarterbacks that you're going to have are going to be Kyler Murray, a Josh Allen, someone like a Lamar Jackson. And we don't really have any of those stacks available to us. So we're probably not drafting a QB in the 5th. So we want to see some, I guess maybe we want to see some quarterbacks go here, honestly. Party Till Shots says Top Dog is doing well. He's just letting the draft come to him. So Top Dog, yeah, he's gone with a very, very similar build to us, where literally you look and it's like a mirror of each other. So we have Adams, Hill, Harris, Gibson, Woods, Amari, Higgins, Godwin. I mean, it's literally like the same exact construction. Okay, so Miles Sanders does go here at the 407 to the pacifier. I do think Miles Sanders is currently being undervalued in fantasy. If you can get Miles Sanders in the late 4th, early 5th, I mean, I think the hate has gone way too far on both Miles Sanders and Josh Jacobs. And those were both running backs that I was screaming they were overrated when they were going in the 3rd round, but now they're going significantly beyond that. Yes, we have some more receivers going off the board in T. Higgins, Brandon Ayuk, and Jamar Chase. Honestly, this is kind of what you expect. That we talk about this all the time. Round 4 is the round of the wide receiver. Wide receiver is going to dry up usually around this spot with like a Deontay Johnson. Then you're going to be in kind of a difficult position. The middle of the 5th, the end of the 5th is always like the hardest spot to pick in. That's why I kind of want to go and try to get those guys like a Stephon Diggs, someone like a DeAndre Hopkins, because when you have those options, then you can just grab their elite quarterback and get the stack in, and you can excuse yourself in having to take a disgusting receiver in this range or a disgusting running back. But yeah, Deontay Johnson goes to the 501. So A. Robinson starts it off CMC, Joe Mixon, Darren Waller, Adam Thielen, Deontay Johnson. Aaron says, yeah, I'm never drafting Jamar Chase this year. I was of the opinion that I was never drafting Jamar Chase. Y'all know we have had T. Higgins ranked over Jamar Chase the entire time. And now that it's kind of consensus and a lot of people are waking up to the fact that they should drop Jamar Chase behind T. Higgins, it's going to depend on how far he drops. Because if we can start to draft Jamar Chase in the 5th round instead of having to draft him in the 4th, it's going to be a little bit more interesting. But it's nice to see that people are finally getting smart enough to realize that T. Higgins should be drafted over Jamar Chase. Okay, so Claypool goes to the 503. I want to see where Top Dog decides to go, because there are two running backs at the top of my head that look like they're the last guys in the tier. I don't necessarily memorize what we have at the wide receiver room right now. Of course, we can pull this up. Actually, there are 3 running backs left in that tier. I guess you have Darrell Henderson as well, and the wide receiver that you have up here is going to be an Odell Beckham Jr. Okay, so Top Dog, he has 1 running back, 3 receivers. I've seen him before go just really wide receiver heavy in the middle rounds. Maybe decides to take a Darrell Henderson here. I actually think that he got a Henderson in the draft last night. So yeah, he goes Darrell Henderson at the 505. The pacifier, he started off his draft, Derrick Henry. Okay, he goes Odell Beckham Jr. Thank God. Okay, this is going to be a perfect draft. Josh Jacobs goes, we get Travis Etienne falling to us. I could have not asked for a better 5th round pick. I love the start to this draft. I mean, obviously the 108 is a difficult spot to pick at, but when we could start it off, Tyreek Hill, Antonio Gibson, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Travis Etienne, I love that start. Okay, also guys, if you have yet to go down there and you have yet to drop a like on the live stream and you have not subscribed to the channel, you need to make sure you hit that sub button, because YouTube is very weird with the algorithm. And that if you're not subscribed to the channel, you don't necessarily know when you are going to get recommended our live streams. Sometime you'll get recommended the live streams while we are live, but a lot of the other times YouTube will wait until we're already done with the live stream and or recommend it to you as a video later on. So it's going to be very important that you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you know when we're live and you can come out, you can come join us in these drafts, hop in the live chat with everybody, because I mean, this is only going to continue to get better as we get closer to the season, my dudes. I've been having so much fun doing this. Okay, so we have 2 elite tight ends in Andrews, Hawkinson going off. I would have loved to have either tight end falling to us in the 6th round, but I mean, when we only have Antonio Gibson at running back, it's a no-brainer. We have to go with the Travis Etienne there. Now, Mike Williams all the way at the 601, and what we talk about all the time is the fact that it's hard to call someone a reach if you're drafting at the end here. I mean, if you're drafting in the 6th, if you're drafting in the if you're drafting at the 12th spot, the 11th spot, the 1st spot, or the 2nd spot, you know that you have so many picks in between you that you can't necessarily just sit there and hope that value comes back to you. So if you want a guy, you have to go out there and you have to draft them. But obviously, Mike Williams looks like a reach at that selection. So with Javonte Williams off the board here, So I thought that we were going to be going with the Dak Prescott to get the stack in with Amari Cooper, but we potentially may just have to go with the value in Josh Allen, because with an Allen, we wouldn't even be giving up on a stack, because we could go through and we could stack Allen with some other wide receivers later on. And if we draft Josh Allen here, we all are only going to have to take 2 starting quarterbacks. So yeah, we're going to take Allen as our QB1. I don't necessarily love it. Of course, we prefer going out there and getting a stack. But I think if we're taking a Dak Prescott over a Josh Allen at that point, it's more so like we're reaching on the quarterback position, and very similar to how I've taken Patrick Mahomes in the middle of the 4th before, around this 407 range. Even if we don't have one of the Kansas City Chiefs, I think there has to be a certain point where we are willing to pull the trigger on a Josh Allen, even if we don't have Stephon Diggs. And while, yes, I've said that the only way I draft Allen in the 5th is if we have Stephon Diggs on that same team, I think once we already have these tight ends going off the board, we have the running backs as well. I mean, am I really giving up that much by drafting Josh Allen over Laviska Shenault? I don't necessarily think so. I think we kind of have to take a Josh Allen there at the 605. Okay, so now let's go through and Party Till She Thought says, wow, nice values on Josh Allen and Travis Etienne. Yeah, Allen, the value's there. So we kind of have to do it just because we know we draft him. We're not going to have to take a second quarterback for a while. And at the same time, we're not going to have to take a third at all. So we are going to be drafting Josh Allen at the 605, not necessarily liking it, expecting a lot of receivers to go off the board, but we already have at receiver in this league. We have Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper, and Chris Godwin. So we already have a very high floor and ceiling at the receiver position. So while Dak Prescott would fit us with our stack, I think that there's also a 0% chance that we can complete the double stack with getting Michael Gallup at the 80th pick. There's no way Gallup's making it back. So Allen, I think, is just going to have to be the selection. Party Till She Thought says Patriots versus Washington going to overtime. I didn't even think they did overtime with preseason games. I thought they voted to stop doing that. Am I wrong? I thought that they voted that NFL no longer has overtime in preseason games. I'm probably just an idiot, but I thought that was something that kind of went into effect 2 years ago. Okay, so here we have A. Robinson coming out, and after getting the combination of CMC, Joe Mixon, Darren Waller to start the draft, he goes 4 wide receivers in a row with Adam Thielen, Deontay Johnson, Courtland Sutton, and Tyler Boyd. Mike Davis falls all the way to the 702. Y'all know I've been screaming how bad of a draft pick Mike Davis is when he's going in the 5th round. But if you're getting him in the 7th, I love that pick. Obviously, if Mike Davis would have fallen to us at the 708, I would have been very excited about it. I think that is a fantastic selection. And here it looks like Chase does go out and he actually gets a double. I mean, he gets the full onslaught of the Dallas Cowboys, where he has Ezekiel Elliott, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, and Michael Gallup. So that is kind of crazy. I mean, I can't necessarily get behind taking Zeke at the 103, but I think you got good value on Lamb, great value on Dak, good value on Michael Gallup. So can't complain on with that whatsoever. Okay. So yeah, y'all are saying in the chat that they did stop overtime. Hey, look at that. Look at that big brain right there. Big brain. Okay, so Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. Now, yeah, this is what we need to be seeing. I mean, having an Aaron Rodgers go at the 705 after we take Josh Allen at the 605, I mean, that's exciting. I think that kind of confirms the value that we ended up getting with him. Now, at the 708, we're either going to be taking a Deebo Samuel or a Chase Edmonds, just whoever Zachary does not take. I'm fine with either. I don't know why I even say that out loud. He goes Michael Thomas. I'm so happy to see Michael Thomas. I cannot be drafting Michael Thomas in the 7th round, especially in a format like this. And now I actually think we are. I know he is 13 picks behind Deebo in ADP, but I am just so high on Chase Edmonds, especially getting him in a $100 draft. I'm going to be very excited about that. So we are, I don't want to say even weak at receiver, because we are strong at receiver. We have Hill, Amari, and Godwin. We just don't necessarily have a quality wide receiver 4 or a quality wide receiver 5. But I think we're really strong at receiver, strong at running back, elite at quarterback. So this is a build that I really like so far, getting Edmonds at the 708. I've said this before, but if you actually look at my rankings, I believe I have Chase Edmonds ranked over Mike Davis, and Mike Davis usually goes in the 5th round of these drafts. Lucas says top dog is winning. He has that Aaron Rodgers and he has that Aaron Rodgers and Avonte Adams stack. I don't necessarily want to say top dog is winning this draft. I think we are killing this draft. AJ Dillon at the 711, Damian Harris at the 712, Both running backs that have been consistently rising in ADP. Dallas Goedert at the 801. Jalen Waddle at the 802. Okay, so let's switch this over real quick. So the 805, we'd probably go with the player that we have taken over and over and over again. Because the thing is, if we go with the running back in this range, I still think we're probably wanting to take 4 on this team. So we take 1 in the second, we take a 5th, we take a 7th. I think we have to take 5 running backs on this build no matter what at this point. So I don't know if Michael Carter gives us the significant edge that he would if we could take him and be done at the position. It's either going to be down between a Michael Carter or a Will Fuller for me. I really love a Will Fuller in this format. And I think based on us possibly being able to double up on running back later on and maybe not necessarily having any quality receivers making it back to us, we're going to go with Will Fuller. Obviously, Herbert looks like a massive value, but we have no players on the Chargers. And at the same time, we already committed a significant amount of capital into Josh Allen. So we can't even consider Justin Herbert, who goes at the pick directly after us. So yeah, I think Will Fuller at the 805 is going to be an easy selection. Yeah, so if we would end up taking the Chase Edmonds, like say instead if we would have gone with the Deebo Samuel, then yeah, we would have most likely been drafting Michael Carter there. But I think when we balance it out, we have 3 running backs, we have 3 receivers. I think Will Fuller is going to be the pick. We know Will Fuller does have the spike week potential. So yeah, Will Fuller is going to be my pick at the 805. Okay, so Brandon Cooks goes to the 808. And let me go up and let me show the top of the draft just for anybody who's just now coming in. So yeah, we drafted at the 108. We were kind of hoping that Tyreek Hill fell back to us. And if we go through, I kind of want to recap and see if we can change a 2v2 from where we took Tyreek Hill. Instead of if we could switch that to Saquon Barkley, try to figure out where we could have switched a running back to a receiver and see what we actually like more. So in the first round, like I said, we took Tyreek over Barkley. And say if we decided to switch that and we decided to take Barkley at the 108, and then later on, would we have taken an Antonio Gibson at the 205, or would we have gone DK Metcalf? I think we probably still would have gone with Antonio Gibson. Like, let me know what y'all prefer. Do you prefer Barkley and Metcalf or Hill and Gibson? I probably prefer Hill and Gibson. And then later on in the draft, we took Travis Etienne at the 508. It did not matter what my first 4 rounds looked like. We were taking Travis Etienne there regardless. Chase Edmonds at the 708, we were taking him there regardless. So honestly, I'm kind of happy at this point. I regretted not getting Barkley as soon as we drafted a Tyreek Hill, but based on how running back value fell to us in this draft with a Travis Etienne and a Chase Edmonds, I actually kind of like our decision to go through and I don't want to say punt running back at the beginning of the draft, but go with that elite receiver option in a Tyreek Hill. Thomas says Stevenson is insane. Okay, so let me look up what's going on with Ramondre Stevenson right now. And guys, hey, who pumped out that video just last week? Come on, can I get some credit here? Can I get some credit? Let's look up Patriots stats. Patriots score. Okay, so there's 1 minute left in that game. Stevenson, oh my God, 9 carries, 125 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hey, who made a video 3 days ago talking about Stevenson being a must-draft candidate in the last round, a must-have running back sleeper? Who got a bunch of hate for saying that? Who got a bunch of hate saying Stevenson was a bum and that Damian Harris was taking the running back job and it wasn't even going to be anything close? Who got a bunch of hate for that? Hey, can I get a like on the live stream? Can someone subscribe to the channel just for that? Stevenson going for 2 touchdowns, 125 yards. His first game ever in the NFL. I got to get some credit for that. Y'all got to at least drop a like for me. It's embarrassing at this point. Okay, Robinson, easy selection as a running back 4. Actually, okay, we took Etienne on this team. I am very hesitant to draft James Robinson and Travis Etienne on the same team. Do we just go with the Zach Moss instead? I think that we definitely prefer having James Robinson over Zach Moss in fantasy. You know what? We're not gonna make that decision. We're just gonna go Devontae Parker. I think Zach Moss is a reach at that pick. I think James Robinson is value, but at the same time, we have 3 running backs already. We're gonna have to get 5 regardless. I don't think going with the running back there gives us a significant edge at the position. So we're gonna go Devontae Parker at the 908. And at the same time, we're kind of setting up a Tua Tagovailoa stack that we can do with the Miami Dolphins a little later on with having both Will Fuller and Devontae Parker. Okay, James Robinson at the 9-11. Yeah, like I said, Robinson, great value there. The problem is we just simply cannot take a James Robinson on a team where we take Travis Etienne. That's not how I work in fantasy. We already made the bet on Travis Etienne. We're going to have to assume that that was the correct play to begin with. So, yeah, we're going to go with a Devontae Parker. Zach Moss would have been the other running back we would have considered. Maybe we see JT Sack decide to go with Zach Moss. He currently only has Aaron Jones and Nick Chubb. Okay, so Rocker says James Robinson next round. Yeah, Robinson goes to the 9-11. There was no way Robinson was making it back to us. If Robinson made it back to us in the 10th, I possibly would have considered going with him. Yeah, James Conner goes to the 10-03. Okay, very interesting. I know Zach Moss is dealing with that injury, but it's more so day-to-day, and I'm not too concerned about it. So thank God that we ended up deciding to draft a Devontae Parker here instead. So we kind of get the best of both worlds where we are going to be getting our running back 4 in a Zach Moss. So yeah, this is going to be a great start to this draft. We're kind of making that bet on the Buffalo Bills offense. I love our draft so far. Let me go through. Let me show it off to everybody. Okay, so at the 108, and this is a $100 league, my dudes. This is a big time league. Okay, with the 108, we have Tyreek Hill. The 205, Antonio Gibson, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Travis Etienne, Josh Allen, Chase Edmonds, Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, Zach Moss. I love this start so far. I really, really do like this team. So Ryan says Derrick Henry or Christian McCaffrey. Ryan. Oh, I don't even know what to say to you, big fella. The only way I would ever consider drafting Derrick Henry over Christian McCaffrey is if instead of it being a PPR league, we said a very similar thing with Tim Tebow last week. But instead of it being like a PPR format where you get a point per reception, it would have to be a points per carry league that you get 5 points per carry for every Tennessee Titan running back. In a format like that, then I would consider drafting Derrick Henry. But in a regular PPR league where you're not getting an extra 5 points per carry for a Tennessee Titan running back, then it's Christian McCaffrey, and you should never ask anybody that question ever again. You should never in a million years consider asking someone, do I take Christian McCaffrey or Derrick Henry? A very, very bad question. Ryan says he was trolling. Okay, Ryan, I'm happy to hear you're trolling. I'm happy to hear that, my man. Okay. So let's go through. Joe Burrow falls to the end of the 10th round. Interesting. Tyler says, what do you think about James Conner? I think James Conner is someone that could end up working himself into having a goal line role in Arizona. And of course, he's interesting for that. And at the same time, if anything were to occur to Chase Edmonds, James Conner becomes a 3-down running back on one of the best offenses in football. So yeah, I think that James Conner, I do like him. I can't necessarily take him over a Zach Moss, but I'm completely fine with him in the 10th round. And also, guys, if you have yet to subscribe to the channel, if you have yet to hit the bell next to the subscribe button, I have bad news for you. This may be your last live stream. This may be the last time that YouTube ever shows you this live stream while it's live. So if you want to take that risk, by all means, don't subscribe to the channel. Don't help us out for live streaming every night. Don't come out and hang out with us in the live chat tomorrow night after all the preseason games. You do you. But if you were a big brain fantasy player, I'd hit that sub button. I'd hit the bell next to the sub button. That way you can come out to the live stream tomorrow night, the night after that, the night after that, the night after that, and the night after that. Jayan says, you better be ready for my Devin Duvernay preseason laps. I know they're coming. My man. Now, after we go Zach Moss, we got a bunch of running backs going. And Kenyon Drake, Tony Pollard, and Melvin Gordon, Gus Edwards. We already have 4 running backs on this team. So we're probably just going to be taking a 5th and not necessarily having to worry about it. Now, Jamal Williams goes at the 11:05. So Jamal Williams would have been the guy that we were looking to draft here. Y'all know how high I am on Jamal Williams in a format like this. I am just not a fan of either Leonard Fournette or Latavius Murray. I don't know if we can go with either one here. Okay. So the pass fire is Tannehill, Derrick Henry. He goes Justin Fields. Okay. We love seeing someone go with a Justin Fields when we have Josh Allen. I'm not even considering Fields in this range. So now we just get a Rondale Moore. Actually, Do we go with the Rondale when we already have 5 receivers on this team and we don't have a single tight end? Instead, I think we kind of avoid the situation that we got ourselves in the last draft, where last draft we actually had to kind of go out there and take a Hunter Henry when we didn't want to. So we're going to take Irv Smith Jr. here as our tight end 1. Okay, so let's switch this over. So you have Devin Singletary going at the 11:09 after we take Irv Smith Jr. Yeah, so we're not considering taking Devin Singletary in the 11th right after we take Zach Moss in the 10th, because we're kind of assuming that Zach Moss was the correct selection when we did take him there at the 10:05. Ryan says, how early would you draft Darren Waller? I draft tomorrow. Okay, my man Ryan, I have something to tell you that honestly is kind of groundbreaking when it comes to Darren Waller and where I would take him in fantasy drafts. I have written hundreds of pages of information about every player that I think, of course, not hundreds of pages of information for every player, but combined on everything, hundreds of pages of information of my thoughts for this upcoming season with my rankings and my tiers and exactly how you adjust and optimize for your league settings in our 2021 Dynasty Guide. Now, I'm not asking you to go out there and pay $75 for our 2021 Dynasty Draft Guide. I'm sorry, our 2021 Draft Guide. I'm so tired of saying Dynasty. I don't know why I say Dynasty every time. But anyway, our 2021 Draft Guide. I'm not asking you to do that. I'm asking you instead to help us out with our partnership on Underdog Fantasy. Come out, draft with us. Deposit $10 on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. They'll give you a $25 bonus on top of that when you sign up, when you deposit $10. And also, you'll get our 2021 Draft Guide. You'll get our 2021 rankings. You'll also have access to, listen to this. Actually, we're done with that plug. Use promo code FLOCK in Underdog Fantasy. I need to go through. I need to make a draft pick here. My thoughts are all over the place. Do we just take Latavius Murray? Yeah, we're taking Latavius Murray, and we're done with the running back position. We're going Latavius Murray as our last guy here, and then we're just going to go running. We're just going to go receiver, get 2 tight ends, and then get a quarterback and call it a night. Okay, so Nick says, what do you think about the team Big Daddy 2-1? Yes, sir. I'll be happy to break this down for you. Thank you, my man, for supporting the show, of course. So let's go through. Let's check it out. Alvin Kamara at the 104. Clyde Edwards-Helaire at the 209. Then you hammer in some wide receiver value at the 304, the 409, the 504. Completely fine with the receivers that you ended up taking in those ranges. I'll say I personally prefer going with either a Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne, or even a Darrell Henderson over a Robbie Anderson. I mean, if we go through, if we look at us making that switch, would you prefer, let's just call it Josh Jacobs. Let's call it Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne is my favorite running back out of these 3. Would you rather have Travis Etienne and Courtland Sutton, the receiver that goes after Trey Sermon? Or would you rather have a Robbie Anderson and Trey Sermon? Personally, I prefer having Travis Etienne and Courtland Sutton over Robbie Anderson and Trey Sermon. So I think a running back in the 5th would have been a better call, and it would have allowed you to get a wide receiver in the 6th round. And if we go beyond this, I mean, getting a Russell Wilson at the 704, of course, you can't fault you for that. I mean, you didn't get a stack, but it's kind of whatever when Wilson falls that far. And then you have a Jarvis at the 809, a Russell Gage at the 904. You get a Trey Lance, so you definitely have to be done with the quarterback position. When you take Russell Wilson at the 704 and you take Lance at the 1009, I don't think you can really draft any more quarterbacks. You have Edwards as your 4th running back. I do like that. Yeah, so a strong team overall. I just think in the 5th round, I personally would have gone with like a Travis Etienne, or I would have gone with the Josh Jacobs. Okay, Mofo says a Dynasty Draft Guide would have been clutch for my auction. Guys, I know a lot of people are saying that they want a Dynasty Draft Guide as well if you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. While I have some great news for everybody wanting a Dynasty Draft Guide, we have written over 100-page Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide that you get with our other draft guide when you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. So if you want hundreds of pages of information, some of it, Dynasty, it will clearly be labeled. It's a completely different guide than the one you're getting for the 2021 season. But if you want a Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide and you also want our 2021 Fantasy Football Guide, hundreds of pages of information as well as all our updated rankings leading up until the season, you get $25 added onto your account. Nothing, and I repeat, nothing helps this channel more than you going out there and depositing $10 on Underdog Fantasy using promo code FLOCK. Make sure you take advantage of that, my dudes. Make sure you do so. Okay, so now we have some receivers going here. Cole Beasley going, I don't want to say hurts. I would have liked to have a Cole Beasley on this roster when we have a Josh Allen. Like I said, we took Allen knowing that we didn't have Stephon Diggs, but we also had potential to get some of his other receiving options later on in the draft. So now we can't look at running back. So David Johnson, quote unquote, value here means nothing to us. So we're mainly just going QB, receiver, tight end. And if we're going through, it kind of sucks that a Tua Tagovailoa already goes off the board, because we do have that stack set up where we have a Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, but we don't have access to Tua Tagovailoa to complete that at this point. Receiver, there's nothing really at receiver that stands out that much to me. So if we look at the quarterback situation for the teams behind us, there are multiple teams that only have one quarterback. So I think this is going to be really our last shot if we want to get a Matt Ryan or Kirk Cousins. So instead, I think that, no, considering Matt Ryan in this format, yes, he's a little more volatile. I think Kirk Cousins is going to be more of a consistent option. Let's just double check. Yeah, Kirk Cousins also has a week 7 bye. So we're going to get Matt Ryan, because I'd imagine that Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, most likely gone by the time we get back up on the clock. The receivers there, nothing stands out to be special. So we're going to get Matt Ryan at the 1308. Now we are done at QB. We are also done at running back. So yeah, I really like where we're going to be going here. John says, Ramondre Stevenson with 127 yards and 2 touchdowns. If y'all are not going to subscribe to the channel, for me being really the only person pumping Ramondre Stevenson over the past week as a sleeper, as your last round pick, I don't know what you're going to subscribe to the channel for. What else do you need me to do? What else do you need me to prove at this point? We're live streaming $100 drafts every night where I'm willing to put up my own money for this. Okay, so John coming out at the 1311. Jameson going at the 1312. Yeah, so Kirk Cousins goes at the 1310. So, I mean, I think that Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins were definitely the last 2 quarterbacks in that tier. Okay, so Xavier Jones all the way at the 1401. That's pretty rich for Xavier Jones. That is definitely very rich for Jones. Okay, so Derek Carr at the 1402. That's very rich for Derek Carr as well. I swear to God, for whatever reason, I know I sound crazy when I say this, but I think when we get a $100 draft going, I think we see crazier picks than when we get a $5 draft going. I think the $5 drafts are like very sharp. Like the people in there usually are like, I mean, they're going right along with what you'd expect. But when we get a $100, when we ever get if we get a $50 or a $5 going, it seems like those are way more in line. Okay. I think we make a reach here. So in the last draft, we took Anthony Firkser at tight end over Cole Kmet. This one, I think we actually go with Cole Kmet. They're kind of neck and neck for me at this point. I really do like Kmet, and I know we're having a massive reach there. His ADP is 171. We're taking him at pick 161, but there's no way that he makes it back to us. And I definitely do want to be coming away with the tight end in this round because, I mean, I think that you're not going to either have Anthony Firkser or Cole Kmet making it back to us in the 15th. So we want a tight end here. We're going to kind of mix up our portfolio a little bit by getting Cole Kmet at the 1405. Okay, so we have Firkser going at the 1407. Yeah, so thank God we went out there and we did reach just slightly for that tight end, because the tight ends that we'd have been looking at in the 15th round, we kind of got suckered into that in the last draft where we kind of had to. But I think at the 1405, it's going to be fine. Yeah, it's a reach, but the receivers that we're going to have in the next round are kind of about the same. Okay, Naheem Hines at the 1408. And we are going to get another draft going after this one, my dudes. Y'all just have to let me know what y'all want whenever I send out a poll. We're either going to be doing a $5 or $50 draft because this $100 draft barely filled, so I don't think we're going to be filling another one tonight. Okay, so Randall Cobb at the 1409. So Randall Cobb definitely fell a lot further than his ADP. If we look at best players available right now, Baker Mayfield is definitely down there on that list. I mean, we're already about to be in the 15th round. Baker Mayfield usually goes in the 13th. Watkins is also someone that I understand the spike week potential. I guess actually now it does make sense if we really think about it, why he's rising. This is someone that's playing on a team that, I mean, they lost Hollywood Brown to an injury. Who's dealing with that right now. They also, I mean, Rashad Bateman just had surgery, so it does make sense why he's rising now that we really sit here and think about it. So maybe Sammy Watkins is someone that I actually have to pay more attention to in this range, because y'all know I am a massive, massive fan of Sammy Watkins. With our last setup, we literally made a video every single day with the Sammy Watkins Buffalo Bills jersey behind us. Okay, so Big Ben at the 1503. We're happy to see quarterbacks go off the board in this range. We're wanting quarterbacks to go because by the time we get up on the clock at the 1508 here, I'm not looking QB. I'm either looking at tight end or receiver. Those are the only options. We have 5 running backs. We have 2 quarterbacks. And, we do not want to enter auto draft mode. That would be horrendous. Okay, so let's go receiver, tight end. Top dog on the clock here. He's probably going to go with the QB, I'd imagine. He only has Rodgers. His 4 running backs are okay. I'm assuming that he goes more wide receiver heavy than most people with this build. Yeah, let's see where he decides to go. I'd imagine he goes QB. So he goes Philip Lindsay. What quarterbacks did he pass on? He passed on a Baker Mayfield. That is very, very intriguing. He gets his 5th running back here. I do think you kind of want 5 running backs on a build like that when you wait that long and you get the wide receiver value. But I was going to be expecting him to go with the Baker Mayfield. So we only have 5 receivers. So we definitely need to be bringing receivers into this team. We're going to end up most likely having... Actually, we're only going to have 7 receivers in this build. Because we need another tight end. I can't go into the season with just Irv Smith and Cole Kmet. I guess... that sucks. I guess we're fine with 7 receivers when we have Tyreek, Amari, Chris Godwin, Will Fuller, Devontae Parker as our first 5 because they're very exciting. But yeah, we're going to go with the Paris Campbell. So it looks like we have some positive news about Carson Wentz. We have some positive news about Quentin Nelson, which should give a slight bump up to Paris Campbell. So we're going to be taking him here. Let's try to see where we actually had Michael Pittman going in this draft. So Pittman goes at the 10-10. I do not think there should be a 5-round difference between those 2 players. Paris Campbell is going to be an easy selection for me there. Okay, so Dimey Brown at the 15-11. Ryan says, what's the highest buy-in draft you have done this year? I spent $1,000 on a fantasy draft about a month ago. Now, I was a $500 buy-in. I paid the $500 buy-in for one of my spots, and I paid the $500 buy-in as a giveaway for one of our Patreon members. That was a Patreon Fantasy Football League. Yeah, so the highest buy-in that I've pretty much spent this year, $1,000 bucks. I spent $1,000 on a fantasy draft. Okay, so Jerick McKinnon at the 15-12. Blake Jarwin at the 16-01. So Damian Williams looks like a value here, but we simply can't be thinking about drafting Damian Williams. So Rugger. Smith. He takes Austin Hooper. Are you freaking kidding me? Oh my gosh, I really wanted Austin Hooper there. I wanted Austin Hooper so badly. Rashad Perriman goes, but Perriman would have been my other option. Do we just go with the Tyrell Williams as someone that we know is going to be seeing a lot of snaps and a lot of targets? We kind of want to avoid a week 14 bye right now at receiver. At tight end, will we see that big of a fall off? I mean, Zach Ertz had a role this. Zach Ertz just had a role today. We're going to take Zach Ertz. It could be a panic pick. I really wanted Austin Hooper there. I really did want Austin Hooper. We're going to take Ertz. Let me know what y'all think about that. Let me know if y'all think that's a panic pick. I'll scroll down here. Eric Ebron goes directly after us. But a big thing is, I think when we're back on the clock, I don't think we're really going to be looking at any tight ends of significance. So let's see if Top Dog ends up getting a quarterback that's going to start all 16 weeks, falling back to him in the 16th round. Tyler says, I'm sorry, brother, needed a third tight end. Let's see where Tyler ended up having the other tight ends. He went Andrews. Actually, no, was that your... Man, if you go Andrews, I don't know if you need a third tight end, to be honest. And I'm not getting mad at you or anything, but I'm just trying to think out loud here. So Top Dog does end up getting Zach Wilson. Interesting. But if you go Andrews, are y'all drafting a third tight end when you draft Mark Andrews in an underdog league? It's something that I don't know the correct answer for. That's why I'm legitimately interested, and that's why I'm asking y'all. Okay, Noam says, Mason, can you explain why you think Justin Fields will be a much better than an average/safe quarterback like a Derek Carr? Justin might not start half the season, and someone like Carr will usually be consistent. I'll say with the Justin Fields, it's just his range of outcomes at this point is so much wider, where we can say that based on his rushing capability, it's easy to see him having a significantly higher ceiling than what we have had previously with the Derek Carr. I mean, we already know exactly who Derek Carr is at this point. I mean, you're not tricking anybody with trying to figure out who Derek Carr is. So it's not that necessarily Fields is a safer option whatsoever, but you know that he's an option that can win you your league, where Derek Carr simply doesn't have access to that kind of ceiling. Okay, so Darius Slayton goes at the 1701. Demarcus Robinson, and we're ending this draft off wide receiver. So we're really hoping that we get some receivers that we like falling to us. Actually, I think we can go 8 receivers with this build. Can we not? Yeah, we have 2 more rounds. I think we've already drafted 6 receivers. So we're gonna have 8 wide receivers on this team. I actually really like this team now. And guys, make sure you drop a like. Help us get recommended out to some new listeners. We are going to close in on 29,500 subscribers today. If we can hit 30,000 subscribers by the time we get to, let's just say, after, let's call it Monday, that would be crazy, because right after week 1 of the preseason, leading up until the start of the year, that would be fantastic. Okay, so let's switch this back over. Obviously, White, Giovanni Bernard do look like the values according to ADP. We simply don't have access to even thinking about them. We're just going wide receiver here without thinking too much. And we're going to be getting someone we're drafting over and over again. We're getting KJ Hamler here in the 17th round. I mean, Hamler is going to be one of my highest owned receivers when it's all said and done. I think a lot of people are kind of overvaluing the difference between Hamler, Sutton, and Jerry Jeudy. I think people aren't necessarily giving Hamler the respect he deserves as a wide receiver prospect coming out of Penn State and last year's NFL draft class. He was the younger wide receiver. He was the youngest wide receiver in the class when he was drafted. I mean, he has elite level speed. And what you have with the KJ Hamler is you have the fact that, I mean, while yes, he's in a bad situation, if anything were to occur to either Jerry Jeudy or Courtland Sutton, he becomes an every down player. And I think if you don't have Courtland Sutton in Denver this year, then all of a sudden, personally, I would be drafting KJ Hamler. I would be drafting him maybe up here with I'd be drafting him next to Henry Ruggs. I mean, I think that there would be not a big difference between those 2 wide receiver options. So I really like getting Hamler at the 1708. Okay, so Noah says, how much is the next draft? The next draft, we're just going to take a vote on in the live chat. We're going to vote between $50 or $5. So this was a $100 league, but it really filled slowly to the point where I don't think we could fill another one after this. So we're going to vote in the live chat with what y'all want next. And yeah, we have to go with a 8 wide receiver build here. It's going to be very simple for us. And it looks like this team is going to crack 3,000 points projected for it. I love this team that we built. I was kind of worried when we pulled the 108, considering the fact that it is a $100 league. But at the same time, I mean, I think that we did exactly the best we could with it. Okay, so Dwayne Eskridge goes. So we're going to get Nico Collins. It says he's at the end of the depth chart, but guys, he's a rookie that was drafted in the 3rd round. You're not going to be expecting the team to go out there and automatically project Nico Collins to be the 2nd starting receiver outside of Brandon Cooks. Okay, so now let's switch this back over so y'all can see the entire board. And let me go through, show y'all the very top of the draft, and then I can go through and show y'all the bottom as well. Okay. Yeah, Golf for Life says, can I see the whole team? Yeah, we'll do that one more time. Okay, so we have Hill, Antonio Gibson, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin. Let's go position by position. At running back, we have Antonio Gibson, Travis Etienne, Chase Edmonds, Zach Moss, and Latavius Murray. At receiver, we have Tyreek Hill, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, Paris Campbell, KJ Hamler, Nico Collins. At quarterback, we have Josh Allen, Matt Ryan. At tight end, we have Irv Smith, Cole Kmet, and Zach Ertz. I love this build. Boggoat says, thoughts on my draft? Yes, sir. Let's go look at Boggoat real quick. Then we'll set up the next draft right after this one. Okay, so Barkley, Jonathan Taylor in the 1st and 2nd round. Javonte in the 6th. You know I love that. And then at receiver, you end up having Terry McLaurin, Cooper Kupp, Kenny Golladay, Devonta Smith, McCole Hardman. You get 3 more guys down here. How many quarterbacks did you draft? Okay, you got Wentz, Daniel Jones, Matthew Stafford, 3 quarterbacks. How many tight ends? Jonnu Smith and Logan Thomas. I wonder if you draft Jonnu Smith and Logan Thomas, I think maybe I actually want 3 tight ends in that scenario. It's something that I don't know 100%, my man. I would love to know your opinion on it, because I don't think that's necessarily something that you have a really easy answer for. So if you know what you'd be doing between drafting 2 or 3 tight ends when your first 2 guys are Jonnu Smith and Logan Thomas, let me know what y'all think. Okay, so now let's go through. Let's get our next draft set up. So I'm going to just ask in the live chat right now if y'all want a $5 or a $50 draft. And y'all essentially just vote on it on the poll. Okay, so we sent that poll out there. And yeah, that team, I really like how that team panned out. That's one of my favorite $100 drafts. And I will give you all a little sneak peek of the exposure of my most drafted players in this format. And oh my God, this is going to be embarrassing. I'm not even going to say my top 4 most drafted players. I'll instead get you my most drafted quarterback in this format. Okay, my most drafted quarterback is Sam Darnold at average quarterback 26. Okay, so that's my most drafted quarterback here. Thomas said, damn, Stevenson didn't go up in draft price. He'll go up. He'll go up after that performance. I bet you Stevenson will be like a 17th, 16th round pick. Okay, so let me go through. Let's end the poll, see what y'all ended up wanting. Then I'll set up the chat, and I'll send out a private link in the chat. So let's pull it up. Okay, so what ended up winning in the poll? Okay, so $5 won the poll. Okay, so I'm going to make a $5 draft right now. I'm going to send the private link out in the live chat. It's just going to say, join our $5 draft. Okay, so let's copy that link to clipboard. And guys, this is going to fill up very, very quickly. Just know we are live streaming every single night. So if you didn't get in this one, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you can come out to them in the future. Okay, $5. Okay, we just sent that out. Mark says, Stevenson cost me $200. I had the under on 25.5 rushing yards. I mean, I feel bad for you on that one. Anybody playing DFS, I mean, imagine Stevenson in that. Okay, so here, this is a $5 draft. So let's see where we end up getting slotted in. We get the 108, the exact same as, why did they do this to us? They always give us the same pick in back-to-back drafts. That always happens. But anyway, at the 108, last draft, we started with the Tyreek Hill. This one, I think we're either, I don't necessarily think we want to go with Hill. I just kind of want to test out a different build. So hopefully we get a Kelsey falling to us. If not, we'll probably go with the Saquon Barkley. So yeah, we're either going to go with a Travis Kelsey or Saquon Barkley, whatever we have the option to do at the 108. I don't necessarily think we want to start this team off exactly how we did the last one, because I want to continue to get practice in so we can feel very comfortable in different spots in the draft. So let's go through. Let's try to make a Travis Kelsey or a Saquon Barkley team here. Golf for Life says, how's your week going, Mason? Dog, doing good. My man, yes, sir. Doing very, very well. I'm having a great week. Hope you are as well. I actually got to take a nap today, and I probably slept total today, if you include last night, 8 hours for the first time since we started live streaming every single night. So my God, I am going to be feeling very ready to pump up and start making more videos. Probably get 2 videos out a day sometime soon. Going to be very, very exciting. Chapman says, can't wait to snipe Mason multiple times. So he's picking at the 107. So let's see what Chapman decides to do here. Let's show off the top of the draft board. Okay, so you have CMC, Dalvin Cook, Alvin Kamara, Devontae Adams. And we have Chimichanga in this draft for the first time in a while. We have Fear Boners out here. I believe we just broke down this team in a podcast for Patreon. Maybe I just got back to someone in Discord about it. But yeah, I think we just maybe broke down an underdog team for Fear Boners out here on Patreon. I could be wrong. Could be wrong. Okay, Steve, I mean, you have Derrick Henry at the 106. Let's switch this over. So Barkley goes, yeah, we're going to take Travis Kelsey here. We're going to create a different build. In the last draft, we went with a Tyreek Hill. This one, we're going to go with a Travis Kelsey. This is going to allow us to only have to draft 2 tight ends. We can take Kelsey and then get Hooper at the very end and not necessarily have to worry about it. Tyler says, how long have you been live streaming like this on YouTube? I've been making fantasy football YouTube videos since, I believe, the first one was like pretty much New Year's in February 19. So like February 18, like 2018, 2019, like the turn of the years when I started making YouTube videos. My first time live streaming on YouTube was about a year ago. Actually, it was about 11 months ago. So Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs at the 109, the 111. Okay, so I think that we kind of really hope that we get someone like Calvin Ridley or DeAndre Hopkins falling to us in the second round. If not, we can end up just going with a running back like we did in the last draft. But I kind of want to spice it up. I kind of want to see what it looks like if we pass on running back through the first 2 rounds and if we can kind of catch up later on. But Kelsey just gives us such an edge in a format like this, guys. I mean, in an underdog league, when you only have to roster 2 tight ends because you draft Travis Kelce, if Kelce remains healthy all year, I mean, he is a league-winning player. Like, if you knew that Travis Kelce was going to have the same stat line that he had last year, he would literally go at the 102. The only player you'd go behind is Christian McCaffrey. The problem is, obviously, he's going to be 32 years old this year. Maybe he does take that step back. But if he provides you this exact same thing he did last year, I mean, it's a fantastic pick. Okay, so Hopkins does go. And like I said, guys, I'm not going to necessarily be considering taking like a DK Metcalf. Because with a DK Metcalf, that's someone that you're looking at and you're going, okay, well, yes, I understand that he does have that elite ceiling because he's attached to Russell Wilson and he's just a freak. But at the same time, I think you can say the same thing about an A.J. Brown, Justin Jefferson that you can get a lot later. So instead, we're going to go with a Jonathan Taylor here, who we are rising up our rankings with the recent reports about a Carson Wentz and Quinn Nelson. Their timetable, I mean, they're actually going to be a lot earlier returning. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. They're going to be returning a lot earlier than we initially thought. So Jonathan Taylor at the 205, I'm going to be completely fine with that. And how often are you going to see in a draft a team be able to start with Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb? I'll say that Nick Chubb, I have been screaming all offseason that when he was going in the first round, like Nick Chubb used to go like the 108, the 109. And I would yell and yell and yell and yell that he was one of the most overrated players in fantasy then. Now that he's falling to the 206, if you're drafting Nick Chubb at the 206, I'm completely fine with it. Completely fine with it. I actually probably like Nick Chubb at the 206. Like if I was at the 206, I'd be like, oh, if I can get Nick Chubb here, might as well just get one share, might as well get some exposure. Chapman says we sniped him on Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, Jonathan Taylor I think is going to be an easy pick. I do like the start that we have with Kelce, JT. And we could just probably get wide receiver on the way back. So Najee Harris goes to the 210. So you're going to see the receiver run happen. I bet this is, here's my call. Receiver, Kittle, receiver. Okay. Watch this. This is going to be CeeDee Lamb. I was going to call A.J. Brown, but yeah. Okay. Hey, y'all got to be impressed by that, at least a little. Receiver, Kittle, receiver. God dang. How many drafts have we done out here? How do we know that these boards are going to fall exactly? Okay, so Keenan Allen goes to the 302. No surprise to anybody. A.J. Brown at the 303. And my dudes, if y'all are enjoying these live streams that we are having every single night, do your duty. This is a call to action right now. If you enjoy these live streams and you want this to happen again next offseason, if you want me to go through and be able to continue to have this fantastic partnership with Underdog Fantasy, please take advantage of this offer. Go use promo code FLOCK, deposit $10. You'll get our 2021 rankings, get our 2021 draft guide. Go help the channel tremendously. And also, we get 10,000 signups on Underdog Fantasy. They're paying people to come to Tampa, Florida, to go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game with me that use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. We're also going to do a Florida Flock meetup after. And to go along with this, we're going to do a 24-hour live stream. So if y'all want more streams like this, if y'all want this to happen again next year, because of course I can't guarantee that as of now, you need to make sure you're going out and using promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. This is the first sponsorship we have ever gotten on the channel. And really, I think that it's the perfect thing for the channel that we were able to go through, set up all these drafts with y'all. And if y'all are finding them entertaining, if you're finding them useful, if you enjoy watching the channel whatsoever, please make sure that you're helping us out. Okay, Ryan says, Mason, your audio is cutting out every now and again. Guys, let me know if my audio is okay. Let me know, guys. Okay, so J.K. Dobbins goes to the 308 by us. I almost considered going with an Amari Cooper there, but I think we can get a receiver that we like on the way back, where Dobbins, I think, is going to be more the last player in that tier. So it's going to be a very intriguing build. When we're playing in a $5 league, I definitely want to go through and I definitely want to test out some different things in terms of just preparing ourselves for the $50 and the $100 format. So this is a $5 league. So I want to test the waters. I want to see what happens. We possibly punt the receiver position through the first 3 rounds of the draft. This is going to be a viable strategy and what we can do going forward. Okay, audio is fine. Okay, so whoever said our audio was cutting in and out, I figured it was on your end. So yeah, it's on your end, my man. Amari Cooper would have been our pick if we did not go with J.K. Dobbins, though. Okay, so now let's go through. Tyler says, what else can we do, Mason? Y'all can obviously support the show on Patreon, but supporting the show on Patreon's a much larger commitment to y'all where you're making a monthly payment. So I'm not asking for anybody to join the show on Patreon just because I know the diehard fans of the show, they're finding that regardless. It's just such a low burden on y'all though when you just take advantage of an extremely, of just a great offer already for yourself, where I'm just trying to get you literally to take advantage of the fact that you can have a ton of fun playing on Underdog Fantasy, and at the same time, they'll pay you to do it. And this offer is not going to be available much longer. I'll tell you that. So the number one thing is just using promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. That's the number one thing that you can do if you enjoy these live streams and you want this to continue. I've already told you all I'm going to do this every single night leading up until the season, but I don't necessarily know if we're going to be able to do this going up to next season. So that's why it's so important that y'all use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Okay, so Godwin at the 405. Obviously, I kind of prefer having Mahomes when we start with a Kelsey. And it would have been just so nice to see how the team would have played out if we could have gone 4 rounds without drafting a receiver. But yeah, instead you get a Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes pairing. So I think that's kind of standard with what you're going to be finding at this point. Whatever team takes Tyreek in the first, if Mahomes falls to the 4th, you're taking them every single time. So interesting selection of Mahomes in that it doesn't allow us to create a completely unique build, but at the same time, I think we are fine with Chris Godwin. Mofo says, what's the OnlyFans? My man, the OnlyFans is only for the people that are really diehard fans of the channel. They've already found it by now. If you haven't found it, you're never going to find it. I'll tell you that. Okay. Travis Etienne at the 501. Love the value with Etienne. This is like a perfect build for the 101. I think every CMC team that I have, I want to be trying to grab Kittle or Waller. Of course, if Waller falls, I'd be way happier to grab Waller at the 2-3 turn. But grabbing CMC, grabbing the elite tight end, getting 2 top receivers, getting Travis Etienne as your running back 2, that is just such a high floor and ceiling combination start that really you're not weak in a single spot and you're also elite in multiple. Deontay Johnson at the 505. Okay, so let's pull this back up. I'm not going to be considering any quarterbacks here whatsoever, to be completely honest. Y'all know I'm also not considering Kyle Pitts. I had TJ Hawkinson ranked ahead of Kyle Pitts. Mike Davis goes. Didn't care about Mike Davis. So this is just such a dead spot in the draft, to be honest, at the 508. This is why I really like coming away with the DeAndre Hopkins at the beginning of the draft or a Stephon Diggs, because then you can draft a Josh Allen or you can draft a Kyler Murray here. So Claypool goes, and so I think we kind of want to diversify. I've been taking Odell over Robbie Anderson up to date just because with the best ball format, you really do like the fact that you can capture the Odell Beckham Jr. spike weeks. But instead, I think what we're going to do here is we're going to go with the Robbie Anderson, and that Hawkinson doesn't do much for us on a team that we have Travis Kelce. We need a receiver, and that our only other option is currently a Chris Godwin. So we're going to go with the Robbie Anderson. You've seen me take Odell over him multiple times before, but we can't be taking Odell over him every single time. They're very, very similar to me, so this is just going to be more so us diversifying. Okay, so we have passed 430 likes in the live stream. Thank you, everybody going down there, dropping those likes. Thank you for everybody subscribing to the channel. We are on that road to 30,000 subscribers. We've been skyrocketing in subscribers as of late. Okay, so Josh Allen, Kyler Murray do go here at the 511, the 510. Myles Gaskin at the 512. Kyle Pitts at the 601. So this is a lot further than where you see Kyle Pitts usually fall. Usually you see Kyle Pitts go at the beginning of at the end of the 4th. At the end of the 4th, I think he is an atrocious pick. I think if he was going to be on the clock here in the middle of the 6th and we didn't have a Travis Kelce, then we possibly consider him. But yeah, Kyle Pitts at the 601. Sure, it's okay value, but it's just so hard to get behind drafting him over TJ Hawkinson. When Hawkinson was a great prospect in his own right, and he's going into year 3, playing in an offense where he's going to have every single target. Okay, so Lou Daddy, Dallas, let's see where he decides to go. I'm hoping it doesn't. So he goes with a Kareem Hunt. I was really hoping we were getting Hunt there. I really wanted Kareem Hunt. I think we just take a Jerry Jeudy, given the fact that with the Jeudy, we're not going to have the potential to take him in the middle of the 6th very often. We kind of go through and we diversify a little bit. So let's take a Jerry Jeudy here at the 605. Y'all know that I do prefer in a vacuum Laviska Shenault, but a big thing is is when we're going to do 250 of these drafts, I mean, I have to sit here and I have to go, okay, we're drafting Laviska Shenault over Jerry Jeudy every single time. Then we're going to have Laviska Shenault in 140 out of the 250 drafts, and we're going to have Jerry Jeudy in approximately 0.0. So I think we kind of have to listen to ADP just slightly, knowing that we're going to be able to draft Laviska a little later on. A lot of the time, we're going to be able to get him in the late 6th. With Jerry Jeudy, the majority of the drafts, he's going to go in the late 5th, beginning of the 6th. So when they're both on the clock, I think sometimes we got to split it. Of course, I'm going to draft way more Laviska Shenault over Jerry Jeudy over the long haul. But when they do have like an 8-pick difference between them in ADP, I think we should be going with the Jerry Jeudy here. Okay, yeah, I'm so pissed about that Kareem Hunt selection. I would have really liked to start this draft off with the running back room, Jonathan Taylor, J.K. Dobbins, Kareem Hunt. I know most people probably think that you actually should be going with a player like Jerry Jeudy there. But I mean, I am just so high on Kareem Hunt with the elite ceiling that he has. I mean, if Nick Chubb goes down this year, the team who drafted Kareem Hunt literally automatically wins the league. It's going to be that simple in fantasy football that if something were to occur to Nick Chubb, the team who ended up going out there and getting a Kareem Hunt, you just need to ship them the trophy because it's going to be theirs automatically. Jake says, can you explain why you like Laviska Shenault so much? Yes, sir. If you look at the prospect that he was coming out of Colorado, he was a dominant player where he broke out at a very early age in college. At the same time, he did have a very high rating in terms of the overall percentage of the team offense that he accounted for at Colorado. Now, if you pull up his combine numbers, yes, they're a little underwhelming, but it's because he was running with a groin injury. So you can't necessarily look at Laviska Shenault and his combine numbers with any significance whatsoever. So throw those out the window. Laviska Shenault is an elite level athlete that gets used in every area of the football field. And at the same time, he is getting Trevor Lawrence attached to him, and DJ Chark has the finger injury. So yeah, Laviska Shenault, it's kind of crazy. If y'all remember, I mean, we were pumping up Laviska Shenault whenever he was going in like the 9th, 10th round of fantasy drafts. And I mean, if he was still going there, I promise you, we'd have Laviska in literally 100% of leagues. But the problem is he's risen to the 6th, where now he's appropriately priced. So I go, yeah, I still love Laviska Shenault, but it's a lot harder for me to draft him in every single draft. Okay, so Noah says he got Laviska at the 703 in a 12-man slow draft. Yeah, that's why I have to go through and I have to take Jerry Jeudy over Shenault if I'm going to be playing in this many leagues, just to diversify a little bit, because you are going to have the potential to get Laviska in the late 6th, early 7th a lot of the times. So let me recap this team so far for everybody. We took Kelsey in the 1st, Taylor in the 2nd, Dobbins in the 3rd. Then we've taken 3 wide receivers in a row with Chris Godwin, Robbie Anderson, and Jerry Jeudy. Okay, so Chapman is up. We've had a big run on receiver. There are a decent amount of quarterbacks that look like they're very appealing options. The problem is we don't have any stack potential with the Russell Wilson. So here do we just take a DJ Chark, who y'all know I love, but obviously has the finger injury. So we just had to move him behind Laviska Shenault in our rankings. But I think getting him here at the 708, I mean, I still really like DJ Chark with the overall offensive upgrade that he's getting at quarterback. So let's go with Chark as our wide receiver 4. And then I'm honestly fine just completely passing on that tier of quarterback because we're not going to be stacking any of those options. And when we save a roster spot on a tight end with taking Travis Kelce, I think that we are fine to go through and draft 3 quarterbacks on this team perfectly. I mean, without having to alter our strategy that often. So yeah, we're going to go Chark and be fine with it. Michael Thomas goes to the 709. I could never consider Michael Thomas at the 709 in a format like this. Okay, so Darnell Mooney at the 710. We have had a massive run on receiver. We go through, since we took Jerry Jeudy, there were only 3 non-receivers taken in the span of 14 picks. So there were 11 out of 14 picks, there were wide receivers drafted. I think more than, there's no way that it was only 11. There's way more than that. I'm so dumb. Because this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 15 out of 18 picks that are wide receivers drafted. I have no idea what I was thinking beforehand when I tried to do some quick math in my head. Okay, so Will Fuller at the 712. Okay, so those quarterbacks are making it back. Maybe we consider drafting a quarterback. Obviously, it's not appealing when we don't have any of the stacks. You know what? I think one of the teams took DK Metcalf ahead of us. So they took DK Metcalf. I'd imagine that they're drafting Russell Wilson. At this point, I kind of want Russell Wilson to fall to us, but I doubt that's going to happen. And also, running backs are falling as well. Just wide receiver. It's a wide receiver. Thank God we got 4 receivers. Thank God we did. I mean, I know I was kind of sad that Kareem Hunt fell. I mean, Kareem Hunt did not fall to us. But it looks like the wide receiver well dried up very quickly to the point where if we didn't get those 4 wide receivers, we'd probably be scrambling at the moment. Russell Wilson does go. So if we take Herbert, we don't even have the potential to stack with. I don't want to take Damian Harris on a team where we already have 2 running backs. Do we just take Herbert? Like if we get Herbert here, do we only have to draft 2 quarterbacks? We're going to take Herbert. I don't know if we don't have to draft 2 quarterbacks, if that's the case. If we can get away with only drafting 2 quarterbacks after selecting Herbert, it's a great pick. I wish I knew a little bit more about the math behind it. If we took Russell Wilson, that would have been significantly better, but there were just no receivers or running backs that I really like in that range. I mean, an A.J. Dillon and running backs like that I really like at the end of the 8th, at the beginning of the 9th. But I think if Herbert falls to us at the 805, we kind of have to take him, to be honest. And I see that some people saying they don't know about Herbert over Rodgers. I'm 100% taking Justin Herbert over Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's a confident selection of mine, to be honest. I mean, Rodgers, I think he has to regress with his touchdown rate. Literally, Robert Tonyan had like 10 touchdowns and like 30 or 40 targets last year. It's like ridiculous. He's going to regress with his touchdown rate. I'm going Herbert over Rodgers every single time. Also, guys, we're about to pass 450 likes on the live stream. If you have yet to go down there, if you have yet to drop a like, make sure you do. We are on the road to 30,000 subscribers. So, of course, make sure you're also subscribing to the channel, hitting the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you know when we're live next. We're not going to be going live at a regular time because with the preseason, we're having to move some things around in our schedule. So, like tonight, we went live about, I want to say 2.5 hours ago, but it's going to be random night to night. So, make sure you're hitting that bell so you know when we are live and you can come out to these live streams. Okay, so Dylan does go at the 809. Damian Harris continuing to fall. I know Harris was supposedly the best player according to ADP back here at the 805, but the problem with taking Damian Harris to that selection would have been more so that I find taking Harris on a team that we're desperate for running back 2 production and we need some kind of floor, but y'all have already known. I mean, who's been the guy pumping out Ramondre Stevenson as the sleeper running back? That's been me. I'm not the guy saying that Damian Harris is the locked and loaded starting running back for New England. So Stevenson, with his blow-up week this week, of course, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to run a victory lap. Of course, I need to be doing that. Drew says, hey, Mason, do you mind reviewing my team at 6? No, sir. I'd be happy to look at your team. We're going to do this fast because I'm about to be on the clock. Henry at the 106. Not a fan of Henry, but I'm a fan of the price. Then you get Mixon at the 207. Woods, Ayuk, Mike Davis. I do not like Mike Davis at the 507, to be honest. 506. I know that this is, according to his ADP, a fine pick for him. Personally, I'm fading the running back that's more so being drafted based on his projected opportunity rather than his talent profile. So I'm going to be avoiding Mike Davis at the 506. Chenault, I like. Devonta Smith, I like the value. Dallas Goedert. Goddard is going to be a hard play for me. I'll say that I actually was drafting Goddard a decent amount just not that long ago. But I honestly think that it was maybe a mistake in that you really want to be trying to get one of the elite wide receivers. The elite tight ends, or in the middle rounds, just kind of punting and going at the very end. So yeah, Dallas Goedert, I don't love that pick. Deadpool's coming out with a donation. Thank you, my dude. I will get to that in just 1 second. Let me make sure that we are going to be able to go through and figure out what we are doing. So Elijah Moore does suffer an injury. I believe it was a quad injury. There are really limited details on it right now. Getting an MRI. Okay. Do we just take an Elijah Moore? Do we take the risk with an Elijah Moore? We don't necessarily need to pull the trigger on a tight end here. We have Travis Kelce. I don't think we take the risk with an Moore. I think with an Elijah Moore injury, we're just going to be taking Corey Davis over him. If we had clarity on what the quad injury ended up being, like if we had results on the MRI, I think Elijah Moore is the play. But in a best ball format like this, where points in week 1 definitely matter a lot, I think Corey Davis is actually going to be our selection at the 908. And Deadpool's coming out with a donation. He says, hey man, just pulled this trade off in my PPR Dynasty 12-man Superflex League. I got Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, and Jarvis Landry for Jamar Chase, Rashad Bateman, Elijah Moore, and a 2023 first round pick. Dead Pulse, my man. I hope that you mixed up the wording here. I really hope that you got the Jamar Chase, Rashad Bateman, Elijah Moore, and a 2023 first round pick. I prefer that side easily over the Terry McLaurin, Deontay Johnson, and Jarvis Landry. I think that trade would be the perfect example of a Terry McLaurin being very overrated in Dynasty. So I'm really hoping that you got the Jamar Chase, Rashad Bateman, Elijah Moore in the 2023 first round pick side. Please clarify with me. I'm nervous that you traded all that away for Terry McLaurin. And now when we're on the clock here, it's going to be interesting because I think Melvin Gordon is the value. We only have 2 running backs. I think we honestly kind of have to go with Melvin Gordon. I would really be wanting to go with the quarterback, though, and that if we got a Jalen Hurts or we got a Matthew Stafford here, we wouldn't have to draft another QB. We'd be confident rolling with just them and Justin Herbert. But we definitely need another running back. I think getting Melvin Gordon's not going to be the worst selection in the world as our running back 3, because the running back options that we're going to be looking at later on are going to be very, very gross. Okay, but let's go through. Bogoat comes out, says, hey, Mason, thoughts on my team? Yes, sir. I will be happy to go through and look at that. And I see we have another donation from JN, my man. I'll get to that one second as well. Let's go through and let's check out where Bogoat is right now. Okay, so Rugger, a 104, Adams, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Allen Robinson, T. Higgins. I really like this start. Jacobs, Gallup at the 609. Who did you take Gallup over? So you took Gallup over Edmonds, Sutton, Debo, Trey Sermon, Antonio Brown, McCole Hardman. I think maybe when you start your draft off with Adams, Allen Robinson, T. Higgins, you're at such an advantage at the receiver position where you could possibly afford to go with either a Trey Sermon or a Chase Edmonds there. I'm not saying I'm 100% on board with doing so, but I'm at least thinking that it could be something to think about. And then A.J. Dillon, I mean, it doesn't really matter when you get A.J. Dillon in the 8th round anyway. I mean, I think we prefer the combination of Gallup and Dillon versus Edmonds and Brown. Zach Moss at the 904, Joe Burrow at the 1009. Really like the Burrow value, especially when you're stacking them with T. Higgins. Okay, but anyway, let's look at JN's donation real quick. He says, the last run was nice, but he made a rookie mistake. His offensive coordinator was livid that Stevenson ran it all the way without going down so they could kneel it out. If I was Stevenson, I'd do the same damn thing. I mean, you're telling me that his first game ever in the NFL, I know it's a preseason game, but he goes out there and he breaks off an extremely long run. I think that the coaching staff can't be that mad at that, to be completely honest. I know it's the New England Patriots. I know they run like a very tight ship. But let me know what y'all think. If y'all were a rookie in the NFL, you're 22 years old. Think about you being 20. I'm 22 years old. You throw me an NFL game and I'm going out there and I'm about to score a touchdown against grown men that weigh 300 pounds. I'm not kneeling it down. I'm going out there and I'm scoring. Honestly, I'm not even thinking about that much. Okay. So Irv Smith, Mike Gesicki. Let's pull this back up real quick. So in a construction like this, I think we have the flexibility of really going wherever we want here just based on the value. So I'm not even going to be clicking around here. Obviously, Bateman falling down far given the fact that he does suffer that groin injury and he does have surgery. So Terrace Marshall goes to the 1106. Actually talk about him in the video that comes out tomorrow morning. So let's see where we're going to go at the 1108. I think that we can get a player that we really like here. Okay, come on, Chapman. Let's see where Chapman goes. He has the same exact build as us so far. He actually has Rodgers, Barkley, Chubb. Okay, so he went heavier with the running back, and he goes Gus Edwards here. Gus Edwards would have been my selection if he fell to us, so congrats on that pick. But I think instead we go with the Tony Pollard. We're going to be going with a Tony Pollard as our running back 4, essentially saying if anything happens to Zeke, we have a league-winning running back. Now we only need one more running back on this team, and then we're going to be done at the RB position, and we can focus in on receiver. JB Pats says, another draft tonight. I need to get in one. My dudes, if we get, how about this? What would be a realistic goal for us in terms of either live viewers or likes on the live stream to get another draft going tonight? Because I think while it is very late, I may not necessarily be doing that many drafts tomorrow night since we have preseason games all day. Let me know what y'all think a reasonable goal would be for us to get another draft going tonight. Right now we are at 460 live viewers, and we are at about 455 likes. I'll ask the chat. Y'all can be reasonable with me here. Jamal Williams goes to the 1201. Honestly, I kind of was praying that Jamal Williams was going to be falling back to us in the middle of the 12th, because if he's falling back to the middle of the 12th, I mean, then we can get really excited about the running back room. We never have to think about it ever again. Okay, so we have 3 running backs in a row going. The 1205, at what point do we just take Rashad Bateman? We have 5 receivers already. Traquan Smith is also standing right there. I think Smith could be a little more interesting. Gerald Everett goes. So the thing is, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go off the wall. Rashad Bateman's probably the best value available, but knowing myself, what I'm going to value more is the fact that if we grab a Matt Ryan here, we're only drafting 2 quarterbacks. He has a different bye week than Justin Herbert. If we wait any longer than this, I'm going to feel the need to draft 3 of them. So we're going to take a Matt Ryan. And I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with that selection, but I think from a roster construction standpoint, it gives us such an edge. And then we're done at the quarterback position now. We only need 1 more running back, 1 more tight end. So we need 2 more rounds for non-wide receivers, and we have the potential to draft 4 more receivers on this team based on that selection of Matt Ryan. A lot of people being very unrealistic and saying 500 likes. We're getting 500 likes in this live stream no matter what, guys. I'm trying to think. How about if we hit 530 likes in the live stream, we'll get another draft going. Actually, no, that's too low. We have another 5 rounds going. We'll do 535 likes on the live stream. We'll get another draft going. Because that's 55 more likes. And we have 5 more rounds. It's 10 likes a round. We'll do 535. Okay, so Devin Singletary at the 210. Singletary, I do like him as really just the last running back in this tier. I mean, after Singletary, it's just a sharp decline. Yeah, guys, we're already about to pass 500 likes. I knew people were waiting for me to say like a goal, and then they were all going to go down there and drop those likes. Yeah, we're about to pass 535. Literally, that's why I wasn't doing 500. I knew that was going to happen. We're going to be up until like 2 a.m. tonight then. Guys, if y'all are enjoying the content, if y'all are enjoying these streams and you want this to happen next year, if you want this to continue to happen, please make sure you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. A $10 deposit gets you a $25 bonus with promo code FLOCK. That should be enough right there. That should be enough for you to sign up for Underdog Fantasy and get into some fantasy football drafts. But on top of that, you're getting my 2021 rankings and tiers. You're getting my 2021 draft guide, hundreds of pages of information. You're getting my 2021 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide, 100 plus pages of information. You're also making us one step closer to our goal of 10,000 signups. And if we get 10,000 signups on Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, we're doing a 24-hour live stream. We're flying people to Tampa, Florida to go to a Tampa Bay Buccaneers game with us. So guys, please make sure y'all are using promo code FLOCK if y'all are enjoying this, because I promise you, well, yes, I guaranteed we are doing a draft every single night this offseason. I can't necessarily say that Underdog's going to be down for that next year as well. So we got to make sure we're representing the flock. Make sure you're going over there and using promo code FLOCK. That way we can continue this fantastic partnership. Okay. So I'm going to spam the link in the live chat for Underdog Fantasy. If everybody in this chat right now use this promo code that has not done it already, that has not signed up for Underdog Fantasy already, you have no idea. You cannot comprehend the difference that would make for this channel. You could not even think about it. Now here, we're going to go with the Jalen Reagor, someone we have not drafted very often. He is, according to ADP, the best receiver on the board. And y'all know I really have to kind of pay attention to ADP when we're going to be drafting 250 plus teams. We're going to go Reagor. And obviously, if you have a Watson trade, Reagor shoots up, I don't know how many rounds in ADP. So let's slide this down here. We'll actually slide this to the left. So I'm going to spam this. Maybe Reagor's just someone I can't draft at all, because with the Jalen Reagor, this is someone that I hated coming out of TCU last year. And obviously, it was such a bad rookie season. It's really hard to go out there and draft him. Like, to be honest, why did I draft Jalen Reagor? What is better What makes Jalen Reagor better than Bryan Edwards? Bryan Edwards, has he already gone off the board? Yeah, he's actually already gone off. When did Bryan Edwards go off? Okay, so he went off at the 11:09. So he went off way after. Okay, so I guess Reagor's kind of fine 2 rounds after. Okay, Teresa says, is Louisiana allowing signups? I know we aren't allowed to do others. Anybody know? I am very sorry. I think Louisiana is one of the very few states that is not allowing it. I think it's because literally I drove through Louisiana. I don't know how many times to make the drive from Austin, Texas to Tampa, Florida before I moved here. And literally you drive through Louisiana, it's like casino, 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 casino. Like we stopped at gas stations that had casinos attached to them. Cole Kmet at the 14:02. So tight end is really, really drying up. Okay, so fully loaded takes Sterling Shepard. I think we're probably going to go with, if we go J.D. McKissic here, we're probably done at the running back position. But obviously, I kind of want to catch up. I think maybe have to go receiver on this team. J.D. McKissic goes. I think we have another draft where we take Randall Cobb. We only have one receiver with that same buy. And we're going to go Randall Cobb here. AJ Green is intriguing. Let me think this out between Cobb and AJ Green. I think we're actually going to prefer AJ Green. AJ Green's getting paid a ton of money. AJ Green's getting paid $8 million. He's going to be playing in a significant amount of snaps for an offense that just exclusively almost runs 4 wide receiver sets. Yeah, and he's attached to Kyler Murray. So we're going to go with AJ Green with that pick. T.Y. Hilton at the 14:06. And you know what we're going to do, guys? We're going to do something crazy here. If we hit the 535 like mark, we're going to get another draft going at the same time. We're going to do 2 drafts at the same time. Let's do that right now because we're going to get this going. We're going to do 2 drafts at the same time. I'm going to switch this over here real quick. I'm sorry, to this. That way I can get this set up. We're going to do probably another $5 draft, okay? We did a $500 draft. We did a $100 draft earlier tonight. So let's set up another $5. It's going to be crazy. Especially, I don't want to be doing a $50 draft when we've never done 2 drafts at once on the live stream. So let's set up another $5 and let's get this going. This is going to be very, very hectic. And I'm just going to go and I'm going to send the link out in the live chat. Okay, so I know y'all can't see the draft board right now, but I just got to make sure we're getting everything set up. Because I know we're passing 535 likes, so we'll get another draft going. But I don't necessarily think that we can just continue to live stream until like 2 a.m. here. So we're going to get these drafts going at the same time. And let's switch this over. Okay, so this is the first draft board. Okay, so we're going to have to be very aware of. It's going to be hard too, because if I want to screen share. Okay, so we're drafting at the 109. Okay, so we're not going to, let's move it back to this. Okay, and Underdog actually gives us notifications. Okay, so that's going to be really good. Underdog's giving us notifications, so that's going to be useful. Also, I need your opinion on if y'all enjoy this live stream where we do 2 drafts at once. Like, let me know if it's even watchable or if we need to go through and only do 1 exclusively. So we're testing something out with everybody in the live chat right now. We're testing this out. The other draft already filled. Okay, so yeah, y'all are going to, I don't know how this is going to play out. I'm probably going to be very bad at switching back and forth between the screens and keeping track of both the drafts, but we're going to be doing 2 drafts at once. Okay, so Darrington Evans at the 15:02. Okay, so over here, the draft starts in... Ooh, do we need to refresh that every time we up? Okay, so the draft just started. Okay. Hopefully we don't need to refresh it when we go back and forth because that would be so dang annoying. Austin Hooper goes. I hate seeing Austin Hooper and Anthony First go. I would have preferred to get one of those tight ends here as our second tight end, but we do have Travis Kelce. When you take Kelce, you're assuming that Kelce's starting every single week regardless. So now we're going to be on the clock at the 15:08. And here, this team at quarterback, we have Herbert, Matt Ryan. At running back, we have Taylor, Dobbins, Melgo, Tony Pollard. At receiver, we have Chris Godwin, Damian Harris, Jerry Jeudy, DJ Chark, Corey Davis, Jalen Reagor, AJ Green. At tight end, we have Travis Kelce. Ryan says you can see both. Guys, I do not necessarily know how to set both up at the same time, so we're going to toggle back and forth. We're toggling back and forth, okay? I don't necessarily know how to set that up. I can maybe try to figure out how to set that up for future live streams, but right now this is a spur of the moment thing. Okay, we are actually about to be on the clock in both drafts. Okay, so here we are one pick away. Let's cue Travis Kelce and Saquon Barkley. I'm going to start with either Travis Kelce or Saquon Barkley in this draft. And then over here, we're on the clock. We're going to get Damian. Ooh, do we want Damian Williams? Yeah, we're going to get Damian Williams as our running back 5, and we're going to be done drafting running backs here. And then on this draft, we're going to go through, and I think Saquon Barkley goes. So we're going to have another Travis Kelce team where we get Kelce at the 109. So yeah, let's switch this back over. Let's look at this draft board. So after going with the Damian Williams, we do have Xavier Jones directly after that. Okay, Derek Carr at the 15-10, Marquez Valdes-Scantling at the 15-11. And my dudes, if y'all are enjoying the content, make sure you go down there, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you know when we go live next. That way you can come out to another live stream. Now, Jerick McKinnon goes to the 15-12. Obviously, McKinnon having a ton of positive reports, sounding like he is actually the backup running back to own in Kansas City. So let's switch this back. We are 3 picks away over here. Now, I think that we are either going to go, I don't want to say what we're going to go with, but last draft, we actually started Travis Kelce, Jonathan Taylor. So maybe we have the exact same start in both of these drafts. So DeAndre Hopkins goes. We're 7 picks away here, 2 picks away here. Okay, Calvin Ridley goes. I was really hoping we were actually going to get Calvin Ridley on this team. I think that would have made a very interesting build. It is what it is, though. So instead, we're probably just going to get one of either Antonio Gibson or Jonathan Taylor, whoever gets left to us. And we are on the clock here. So we're about to be on the clock in both drafts. Okay, so we're on the clock. We're looking receiver or tight end. We're just going to go Hunter Henry. I know he drops with the shoulder injury, but I think getting him as our second tight end when we have Travis Kelce going to be completely fine on a different bye week. Antonio Gibson goes here, so we're going to start this draft off the same way we started the other one with Kelce in the first and Jonathan Taylor in the second. Like I said, now that it sounds like you actually have the potential for Carson Wentz to go through and start week 1. Now I think we actually do end up having to move a player like a Jonathan Taylor to the round... the round 1-2 turn. So yeah, I think getting Taylor there at the 204 is going to be completely fine. Okay, so David says, just go to the drafts tab and then the active tab so you can see both. Okay, so let me switch this over. I will try to figure that out so we can see both at the same time. If they have it set up where you can easily see both, maybe we're doing 2 drafts at once all the time. Let me go through. I've never tried to stream 2 drafts at once. Okay, I've been in multiple drafts at the same time on Underdog, but the problem is I'll do slow drafts. So I don't necessarily have to have them pulled up at once. Okay, active. Okay, I don't necessarily think this helps us that much, guys. Yeah, that doesn't make it any better. That tab doesn't make it any better whatsoever. We're just going to go back to what we were doing previously. Okay, so we'll focus in on this draft because we are at the top of this draft, not the end. So let's go through. Let's show off the board real quick. After we take Taylor at the 204, you have Nick Chubb falling to the 207. So 2 running backs that I'm lower on compared to consensus, but great values here. Derrick Henry at the 106, Nick Chubb at the 207. Very, very interesting picks. I think that, how many teams do you think have started with the combination of Derrick Henry and Nick Chubb? Very few. Adam says, yo, Mason, it's my 18th birthday tomorrow. Adam, happy birthday, my man. It sounds like you're probably going to be turning 18 in about 13 minutes if you live on the East Coast. So happy birthday, my man. I'm very excited to hear that you're spending Adam Eve on the Fantasy Flock Network. So Dilly says, can't you minimize those into a split, or am I wrong? I can, guys, but I have my display capture on for a specific window on the live stream. So I could do it if it was just me going through and drafting and not sharing the screen with y'all. But since I'm sharing the screen with y'all, I need to go through and I need to instead just kind of toggle back and forth. Trust me, I know it's annoying, but it's kind of what we're dealing with. Okay, so we have really no picks that stand out here besides Nick Chubb falling to the 207, which I do think is ridiculous value for Nick Chubb. Darren Waller goes at the 302, CeeDee Lamb at the 303. Okay, let's just update this to make sure. Okay, so we're only about 4 picks away here. So let's pull this up. Let's go back to the draft. So I think we're essentially only looking at receiver, right? Yeah, we're only looking at receiver the last 2 rounds. We're going to be drafting 9 receivers on this team. John Brown falls a considerable amount, listed as a second stringer on the depth chart. I didn't like John Brown beforehand. So if he's falling, why would I like him now? But still, getting him at the end of the 17th round in a best ball format could be appealing. So we have Dan Arnold, Dalton Schultz going in the middle of the 17th. Let's see where Chapman decides to take this. So he goes with a Gio Bernard. I think we honestly just take a John Brown here. I think this is the first draft I've ever drafted John Brown in. This is the first time I've seen him fall this far. So yeah, we're going to take Brown, not necessarily love it. And here we're about to be on the clock in this draft at the same time where we started Jonathan Taylor, Travis Kelce. So are we having the same exact start in this draft? J.K. Dobbins goes. So we're going to have a similar start. We're going to go with DeAndre Swift here as our second running back. So with this team, we're starting JT, DeAndre Swift, and Travis Kelce. And yeah, I think we'll get either a receiver that we like falling to us, or we'll get a quarterback that we like in Mahomes. Maybe you have one negative here deciding to take Mahomes, but possibly he decides to go running back with a David Montgomery, Chris Carson. So yeah, I think that we could have Mahomes falling to us in the 4th. We could also just grab another Chris Godwin share because y'all know we've been drafting him over and over and over again. Okay, so Montgomery goes at the 310. So good thing we got DeAndre Swift at the 309 because there's no way that we would add Chris Carson falling to us in the 4th once Montgomery's off the board. Let's pull this up real quick, kind of monitor where we're at. Okay, so we are 4 picks away here. Chris Carson goes at the 311. Okay, yeah, so you have that run on running backs right now. Cooper Kupp at the 401. Okay, Angel says, why does Nick Chubb fall an underdog compared to the other drafts? Y'all want me to say, and y'all want me to be an ass about it, or do you want me to be real about it? I can do either one. Okay, we're on the clock in this draft. Okay, so let's just go take our favorite receiver. Favorite receiver going to be Dwayne Eskridge. Attached to Russell Wilson, very efficient. So we're going to be done in that draft. I'll show off this draft board right after we get done with this pick. Chris Godwin does go. Kind of whatever. Now we can just go, I guess we take Mike Evans. I do prefer having Chris Godwin over Evans, but we'll take Mike Evans as our wide receiver 1. And let me go through and let me show y'all off this draft board we just completed. Okay, actually, let me switch this over so I can pull up the draft board for y'all. So this was the draft that we just completed before we started the new one, where we started Kelce in this one as well. Actually, if I can find this one. Wait, was this our $100 draft? No, this was not. Okay, so here's the draft. Here's the draft. Okay, so if we go and look at this draft board, we started at the 108 here. I'm just going to go slowly down. That way y'all can take up a screenshot. Y'all can pause it. Y'all can tell me how stupid I am. And we can go to the next draft directly after this one. Okay, so let's go down, 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 down. I crushed this draft. I'm just going to say it. We crushed this draft. And guys, y'all know that I've been very willing to say how stupid I am with a lot of my picks. But at the same time, I will obviously run a victory lap whenever I think we have a good draft. And if y'all have noticed, I think our drafts have gotten significantly better over the course of the past 2 weeks. And I think if you sign up for Underdog Fantasy and you use promo code FLOCK, you deposit $10, you'll get $25 added onto your account. So you can go through, you can hop in a lot of fantasy drafts on your own, and you're not going to be in a spot where you get to your real money league with your friends, then you're kind of out of the water. You've only drafted against computers. You don't know how it's going to go. Well, no, if you go through and you play on Underdog Fantasy where you don't have to submit a starting lineup through the year, you don't have to do waivers, so you can hop in a bunch of $3 drafts, get some real practice in, win some real money at the same time, you're going to be in a spot where you can crush your league mates and still at the same time pay attention to the leagues that you really care about, pay attention to those waivers and those start-sit decisions through the course of the season. See, I think that like the proof is kind of in the pudding. If you go through, if you look at our live streams over the past 2 weeks and how much better my teams have gotten and how much better of a drafter that I have gotten by using Underdog to really just make me so much better of an overall fantasy football player. I definitely recommend you doing it. Obviously, if you use promo code FLOCK, you get my 2021 rankings and tiers. You get my 2021 draft guide with with hundreds of pages of information. You also help this channel tremendously, and Underdog adds $25 to your account on a $10 deposit with promo code FLOCK. Okay, so Travis Etienne at the 505, Josh Jacobs at the 504, Claypool at the 506. I'll switch this over. So starting tight end, we're not necessarily jumping up and down to take Andrews, Hawkinson, or Kyle Pitts here. Yeah, so this is kind of just a dead range for us, to be honest, at the 509. I mean, I really don't like any of these players. I think we'll get someone that we like falling to us in the 6th. Kareem Hunt goes to the 507. Lamar, so literally two guys I was considering. So in the last draft, we did take Robbie Anderson over Odell Beckham Jr., more so just due to an exposure standpoint where we've already drafted more of Odell. We're going to do the... they have the same bye week. We're probably going to do the same thing here. You know what? No, we're not going to overthink it. We're just going to take Odell Beckham Jr. as this is a player that in a best ball format does have access to those elite spike weeks that we're kind of on the lookout for. So yeah, we're going to go with Odell. We know he can spike up and he can see a 40-point performance any given week. So Odell at the 509. And we're going to see maybe we get one of those tight ends falling back to us in the 6th and we're kind of forced to take them. I mean, it would, I don't want to say it would hurt the build. It would kind of make the advantage that we get with the Travis Kelce a little smaller, but it could also push up tight ends later on in the draft if we soak up two of the top options. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. I mean, I will promise you, I would have taken a TJ Hawkinson there at the 509 if we had not already drafted Travis Kelce at the 109. The problem is going through and drafting a second tight end because tight end's a little different where you're not going to be expecting the same points per game output from a Mark Andrews that you're getting from an Odell Beckham Jr. here. So it's not like you can just say, well, Mason, the second tight end will play in your flex pot. It's not necessarily that ideal, to be honest. Okay, so so Cortland Sutton goes to the 512. So this is a team that went running back, receiver, 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 receiver. It is intriguing that they have Sutton over Jerry Jeudy. I mean, now you've consistently seen Jerry Jeudy go over Cortland Sutton. That's the first time I've seen Sutton drafted over him in a while. Okay, Javonte Williams goes to the 601. Javonte would have been someone I considered here at the 604. Okay, so let's switch this over. We may have to draft Kyle Pitts or TJ Hawkinson here. I'm really trying to convince myself not to do it. If this was a $50 or $100 league, I'm not considering it whatsoever. Okay, Hawkinson goes. I'm not taking. The thing is, if we take Pitts, do we cause other people to kind of reach up on tight end? If Hawkinson would have fallen, I would have given him more thought into drafting a tight end here. Instead, I think we just go with a Kenny Golladay. We have Kelce. I mean, if we had Kittle, sure, we're taking Kyle Pitts. But no, we have Kelce. We're going to go with Kenny Golladay. We're not going to ruin the advantage that we get. Y'all know I don't even like Kyle Pitts to begin with. I think the majority of players are overrating him to draft him at the end of the 4th round. So we're going to pass on Kyle Pitts there. I know a lot of people wanted us to go Kyle Pitts. I can't. If it was Hawkinson, I would. Yeah, a lot of people saying the value is too hard to pass up on. But guys, if you also think about it, so we're going to be rostering like 8 receivers in this format, and we know receivers have those spike weeks very often. In terms of if you have a large group of them, you're going to be randomly finding at least one of those spike weeks. So we should naturally expect that we're going to have a lot of receivers in our flex spots. So if we take Kyle Pitts in the 6th, we don't even know how many flex weeks we're going to get from Kyle Pitts. And obviously, I would imagine that he doesn't really give us anything over Kelsey through the course of the season. So on a Kelsey team, Kyle Pitts could just be literally a wasted pick compared to a receiver there. I mean, I think 99% of people would bet that Kenny Golladay has a higher points per game mark than Kyle Pitts this upcoming season. And we need to fill 3 wide receiver slots every single week, and we only need to fill 1 tight end. Okay. So you have Mike Williams, Laviska Shenault going at the 607, 608. Dak Prescott at the 609. So this Dak Prescott, he ends up sniping at Imagine the owner here in Appa in that he actually adds CeeDee Lamb in the 3rd. But he actually took a Kyler Murray at the 503. I will point this out real quick. I hate this Kyler Murray selection. I think the first 4 rounds was executed perfectly. But what are you doing drafting Kyler Murray there at the 503? Personally, I can't get behind that. I don't like the Josh Allen or the Kyler Murray selection. I mean, if you take a Josh Jacobs, Travis Etienne there, you're literally done at running back. You're never going to have to look at the running back position again. You're going to save so many roster spots for receiver. And at the same time, you're going to make players later in the draft have to reach on the running back position. So I really don't like the Kyler Murray selection. If you had a DeAndre Hopkins in the 2nd, I love getting Kyler in the end of the 5th. But the beginning of the 5th with no stack really does not make much sense to me whatsoever. Okay. Adam says, it's official. I'm finally 18. Happy birthday, Adam. Happy that you are just joining us in the live stream for your birthday. I'm happy to get you in some of these live drafts. Hey, guys, we got Adam. We got some fresh meat out in those streets. I don't want to say tonight, tomorrow night. We're not going to be doing any more drafts tonight. Tomorrow night, Adam, if you have enough time, I'd love to see you out here. Love to see you hopping in a draft with us. David says, I don't feel like you have to stack Kyler with Hopkins because his ceiling is so high with his rushing. I will agree with that. I don't necessarily think he's the same level player of a Lamar Jackson. But a big thing is, I think we can both agree that it's better than not to stack Kyler Murray with a DeAndre Hopkins. And a lot of times, if you do enough of these drafts, maybe I'm a little biased here in that I'm going to be doing so many drafts, I can create a lot of unique and interesting builds. But I think in a lot of these drafts, you can draft DeAndre Hopkins at the beginning of the 2nd round, and you can have Kyler Murray fall to you at the end of the 5th. So just because I know I'm going to be faced with that opportunity to go out there and draft Kyler Murray, I'm a little bit biased against going and getting him at the beginning of the 5th. I guess if you really love Kyler Murray, that's going to be fine. And trust me, I was high. I was way higher than consensus on Kyler Murray last year. But I think just right now, in the middle of the 5th round, I don't necessarily think we can get behind it. Now, we're going to make a very easy selection. We're getting our man. We're getting Juju Smith-Schuster here to be our wide receiver 4. We need to continue to stack wide receiver value when we start our first 3 rounds without a receiver. So yeah, we're going to have this draft be so far. If y'all want to look at this, we'll take away the camera. We have Kelsey in the 1st, Taylor Swift. Then we've gone Mike Evans, Odell Beckham Jr., Kenny Golladay, and Juju Smith-Schuster. So of course, guys, let me know what y'all are thinking about that start so far. Will Fuller goes at the 710. Ryan says, Matt Ryan throws over 600 pass attempts per year. Yeah, but my man, this is a season that they do not have Julio Jones. This is a season with a completely different coaching regime. So are we sure that we're actually going to have the coach who was literally responsible for being the offensive coordinator of the team who decided to rush the ball the most? And I understand the personnel is completely different. I understand the personnel is centered around Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans. But still, the point is, they really like to run the ball. I don't necessarily think that Matt Ryan goes over 600 pass attempts this season. Maybe because he's playing 17 games, he does. But in a 16-game season, I would be very surprised if Matt Ryan passes 600 pass attempts this year. Sir Dilly says, why is Jefferson going so early? Also, do you know when you may have another Dynasty video coming out from your other channel, Mason? Well, I mean, I do not know about the Dynasty question. We are just very, very busy, like to the point where I literally have no time but to just wake up, make videos, make podcasts, talk to people on Patreon, send out draft guides, and live stream every single night. So as soon as I get a 30-minute break where I can go through and I can record a video for the Dynasty channel, if I have a 30-minute break in my schedule, I'll make one for everybody. Okay, so here at the 804, the thing is, receiver is really dried up. I think after we take Juju, Waddle's off the board. Do we really think we need to be reaching on a player like a Brandon Cooks here? Do we just want Rodgers? If we get Rodgers, I think we could get away with only drafting 2 QBs and going 9 receivers. We're going to go Rodgers, and we're going to save a roster spot on receiver. With Rodgers, we do have some more potential stacks for wide receivers later on. We can grab a Randall Cobb. We can go through. We can grab a Marquez Valdez-Scantling, guys that I don't necessarily love. But I think Rodgers at the 804, if we can follow this up with like a Matt Stafford in the 10th round, then we're probably going to be done at QB. So I'm going to be fine with Rodgers. Yeah, I don't know what the question is about y'all asking why Justin Jefferson's going so early. Do you know the kind of receiver that Justin Jefferson is? I actually do say that. I know that a lot of people have not heard this by now, and I don't know how. A lot of people, for whatever reason, haven't decided to go out and support the channel in this way. But if you go and you use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy, make a $10 deposit, you get my rankings, you get my draft guide, you get my in-depth analysis on Justin Jefferson right away that you can always reference. Now, I will say we also have a video coming out tomorrow morning about my wide receiver rankings in that area of the draft. And of course, I talk about Justin Jefferson in depth in that video. Okay, so SGE Cali says AJ Brown will be wide receiver 1. Mark my words. I actually was all aboard the AJ Brown wide receiver 1 trade before the Julio Jones trade. I think after Julio Jones goes to Tennessee, you do have to knock AJ Brown down slightly. Okay, so you have Logan Thomas going at the 808. Logan Thomas looked really good today, and I guess that's driving his ADP up higher than guys like Dallas Goedert and such. Okay, so Raheem Mostert at the 809. Jarvis at the 810. So this draft is going by a little slower. Let me know what y'all think of my Rodgers pick. Maybe I don't love it, but the thing is, I just think we get such an edge when we can go through and start it off with a decent quarterback and Travis Kelce, and we only have to draft 2 of each position, and we can get 5 running backs in 9 receivers. I think a 2-5-9-2 build, when it makes sense, is, I mean, you're going to be crushing your league mates at receiver every single week, as well as the flex spot. And we're going to be elite at tight end with Travis Kelce. QB, we may be a little weak if we only go with 2 guys, and one of them being Aaron Rodgers as our best. So maybe we get someone that we like in the 9th just to make sure we really don't have to worry about it. And Michael Thomas going at the 902, I still think this is too early for Michael Thomas. I literally cannot touch Michael Thomas in a best ball draft this year. I just cannot do it. Okay, so Corey Davis at the 903. Teresa says, I got Justin Jefferson in the 10th round in my keeper league. That is awesome. So I'm assuming that you got Justin Jefferson either on the waiver wire last year, or you maybe drafted him at the very end of your draft. But regardless, getting Justin Jefferson in the 10th round of your keeper league is like a legit hack, I would say. Okay, Joe Burrow at the 905. Okay, so maybe we don't have any quarterbacks that we're looking at with this upcoming pick. Obviously, an Elijah Moore falling due to the quad injury. Dallas Goedert finally goes off the board at the 906. Okay, so it looks like Dallas Goedert, Logan Thomas kind of switching with their fantasy football draft prices currently. Okay, let's see where WLZ decides to go. Dax says, Mason, I just dropped $100 in Underdog with your promo code FreshMeat. Been playing since 1997. Let's see a big money draft. My man, we just did a $100 draft right before this one. I wish you were going to be able to come out to that one, but we'll do a lot more $100 drafts by the time the season comes around. I promise you that, man. Okay, so now we're on the clock. I think we just get one of the last running backs available in this tier, in my opinion. I think we're going to get a Zach Moss as our running back 3. He doesn't have the same buy as any of these other guys. And I think just making a bet on that overall offense is going to be advantageous. So we're going to get Zach Moss here at the 909. Receiver, an Elijah Moore would be very appealing if it wasn't for the quad injury. But with Elijah Moore, I think we have to pass on him in the 9th round when he suffers that injury today. We don't necessarily have the exact details on it. But yeah, we're going to be passing on Elijah Moore. So Melvin Gordon goes to the 9-10. Llama says, how secure is Underdog Fantasy really? I'd love to play, but I feel like I'm about to get scammed or have my money. Guys, literally, if you go through and you look at, okay, guys, if y'all don't know, Underdog Fantasy, if you don't know who's behind it, Mark Cuban is like the main guy behind Underdog Fantasy. Attached to this, it's Mark Cuban, Jared Goff, Adam Scheffner. Like, Underdog Fantasy is a very, very big deal. I mean, it's like competing with DraftKings and FanDuel. If you are comfortable with DraftKings and FanDuel, you should be comfortable with Underdog Fantasy. Okay, so now let's go through and let's see what else we have. Yeah, do not be worried about Underdog Fantasy being secure whatsoever, my man. I will tell you that right now. Okay, so now we have Russell Gage at the 1001. Thomas says, start a draft right now. Thomas, my man, I cannot do that. It's already, I know it's only 9 in California, but it is past midnight where I'm at. It is past midnight, and we got a lot of draft guides to send out after this live stream. Okay, so we're probably going to be going. Okay, there are a couple things running through my mind right now. I'm not looking tight end. I know Noah Fant looks like a great value. Rashad Bateman goes. I'm either looking at getting Marvin Jones or getting a quarterback here. So if we get a QB here, we're very confident in not having to draft another one. For that reason, we probably go QB. Yeah, we're going to go QB. We're only going to draft 2 quarterbacks in this format. We're going to get a Jalen Hurts. Yeah, so this draft so far, we have Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Hurts at the quarterback position. At running back, we have Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, Zach Moss. At receiver, we have a bunch of guys. Nothing really stands out. We have Juju, Galladay, Mike Evans, and I believe Odell Beckham Jr. So we're going to have to roster 9 receivers in this format because we're going to have to attack the position with quantity, not quality. But I think we're going to have the ability to do that when we have just quarterback and tight end on lock with only 4 roster spots total. So yeah, I think we're going to be able to kind of crush receiver here. Okay, so at the middle of the round, we kind of have a quarterback run going. We have Ryan Tannehill, Trey Lance, and Trevor Lawrence. Okay, so hopefully now that we're done with QB, we're just hoping we see quarterback go after this. Now Irv Smith goes to the 1009. And guys, if you have yet to do so already, make sure you go down there, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscribe button. That way you know when we're live next and you can come out to our next live stream. We're on the road to 30,000 subscribers, which obviously is a massive, massive goal. Okay, so Robert Tunyon at the 1012. Hayden says, who is his first pick? I'll go through and I'll show the top of the draft board for everybody. Let me go through and show the top of the draft board. So we got Kelsey in the first at tight end, then Taylor Swift in the second and third. Then we go wide receiver heavy with Mike Evans, Odell Beckham Jr., Kenny Galladay, Juju Smith-Schuster. Then we get Rodgers, Zach Moss, and Jalen Hurts. So now we're essentially going to need to draft 2 more running backs, 1 more tight end, and after that, just wide receiver and wide receiver only. So we're in a very interesting spot where I think having 9 receivers in this build, it's going to allow us to crush. It's going to give us such a high floor every single week, knowing that we're going to have guys getting snaps and we're going to have guys out there on the field. And at the same time, with players that we specifically took in Kenny Galladay and Odell Beckham Jr., you could see those random elite ceiling spike weeks. Okay, so we honestly like seeing tight ends and quarterbacks go, considering we have Travis Kelce. So let's pull this up. Let's figure out where we're going to be going with our next pick. Now, at what point do we consider Elijah Moore? At what point do we consider him? As a question, last draft, we did take Corey Davis over Elijah Moore, considering the fact that we have no details right now on this injury. We really have no details on the Elijah Moore injury. Okay, come on. Let's see. This team went Wilson, Tannehill, Aaron Jones, Kareem Hunt, Myles Gaskin, Ronald Jones. Okay, so they go Elijah Moore. Okay, honestly, kind of wanted Elijah Moore to fall to us if we were going to get him in this round. The team before us they just go Leonard Fournette. So yeah, we're getting Terrace Marshall, not having to think about it. Terrace Marshall sounds like he could potentially be replacing Curtis Samuel in the slot in Carolina. I personally thought that he was drafted to replace Robbie Anderson next year. So the fact that we're getting the reports that he could potentially be someone getting slot usage, that is massive. I have no idea why this little white bar is showing up on the screen. Let me see if we can get rid of that. Yeah, let's get rid of that. We don't need to see that. So Terrace Marshall at the 11-9. Nitty Gritty says, sorry for taking so long on all my picks. All my guys are getting grabbed. All good, my man. All good. I'm happy that your guys are getting grabbed. I'm happy that the draft is coming hard for you. Okay, so Kenyon Drake at the 11-10. Emmanuel Sanders at the 11-11. Okay, so we're going to be up in 4 picks. And I think we get someone that we want coming back to us, to be honest. Actually, no, we don't. Jamal Williams goes. So a big reason why I passed on the combination of Kenyon Drake and Jamal Williams is if you looked at the teams after us, they have like 4, 3, and 4 running backs. So I thought there was a real good chance that we were going to get one of those guys on the way back. J.D. McKissic goes. So we made a massive mistake in going Terrace Marshall there. We clearly should have ended up going with a running back in Kenyon Drake. I don't know if we can make it back from that. Now our only running backs in this roster are Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, Zach Moss. And God, that was a mistake. I kind of wanted to play the board. Of course, I didn't want to say that out loud because I didn't want to just have people go out there and get running backs from us. But yeah, now Naheem Hines goes. So literally the exact opposite of what I thought was going to happen happened. And of course, we just have to admit that we are completely in the wrong there. I think we just go with the receiver. I think we most likely go with a player like a Gabriel Davis. I understand that Emmanuel Sanders is currently sounding like he's going to be playing over Davis. But a big thing is, guys, we need to understand that in Buffalo, this is A, going to be an offense with so much volume, and B, they run a lot of 3, 4 wide receiver sets. I mean, they're right up there with Arizona and how many 4 wide receiver sets that they run. So they're going to have Gabriel Davis out there on the field running routes. And personally, I think that Gabriel Davis most likely a better bet than a 34-year-old Emmanuel Sanders who hasn't been good in years. So yeah, we're going to get Gabriel Davis as another guy that could provide us some random spike weeks there in the 12th round. But something I want to go back and look at. So we decided to take a Jalen Hurts at the 10:04. Would we have preferred going with the Marvin Jones in the 10th and a Matt Ryan in the 12th? Or would we have preferred going Jalen Hurts and Gabriel Davis? It's close. I think honestly, probably Marvin Jones and Matt Ryan's the better combination. I think we also made a mistake there. I think there are a couple mistakes that we made in this draft that we need to learn from. No Idea says, how do I get your draft guide? Thank you for asking, because I'm sure that everybody else in the live stream is not tired about hearing it whatsoever. So I'll be happy to dive into it again for you, my man. So if you use promo code FLOCK when signing up for Underdog Fantasy and making a $10 deposit, you get my 2021 draft guide. You get my 2021 Dynasty Rookie draft guide. Hundreds and hundreds of pages of valuable information. I would make the argument that if you combine both guides, if one draft guide alone is probably worth $75, I'd say if you combine both guides, they're worth $100. At the same time, Underdog's going to be paying you $25 in credit on top of your account when you do a sign-up bonus, when you deposit $10. And you get my rankings, you get my tiers, you help the channel drastically. So if you want my draft guide, literally, I know a lot of people are selling their draft guides for $75. I'm just trying to make sure that this partnership with Underdog Fantasy is as successful as it possibly can be. And I want to show them exactly how strong the flock is. And for that, we're going through and we're having them sponsor our 2021 draft guide. And all you have to do is, instead of going and spending $75 on a guide, deposit $10, go play in some fantasy football drafts. They'll put $25 on top of your account. It's literally a win-win situation. Nitty Gritty says, one more time. Yeah, yes, sir. You had to hear it. You had to hear it. Okay, so Cole Beasley at the 13:01. So kind of, God, we made that massive mistake. I hate looking back here and seeing our Terrace Marshall pick. I hate seeing that Terrace Marshall selection. Okay, I see some people saying I am muted. Am I muted, my dudes? Okay, I'm assuming that a lot of people would be spamming that. Teresa says, you forgot to use promo code FLOCK. Yes, I am sorry. For all of that, you have to use promo code FLOCK. Promo code FLOCK. Go through the link that I'm sending out in the live chat. Go through the link in the description of the video. Okay, David says, I hate whoever picked AJ Green. Okay, who ended up taking Green? Okay, at the 1302. Singletary goes to the 1305. I would have loved Singletary falling back to us. God, we are scrambling at running back right now. And Fields falls this far as well. Fields would have been a perfect complement to an Aaron Rodgers. This is a draft that we messed up. This is a draft that we messed up in the middle rounds. Jared Cook goes. We're going to get Evan Ingram. We're going to be done at tight end. Yeah, we're going to go. I mean, in the next round, we can get Cole Kmet. The wide receiver fall off isn't that much. Our running back, Rashad Penny, I'm not dying to draft as our running back 4. We're just going to get Evan Ingram here, be done at tight end. I don't think we should go out of our way and try to target best available tight end when we have a Travis Kelce on this team. But I think Ingram's going to make a lot of sense there. Andy says you didn't want Singletary with Moss anyway. In a vacuum, I don't want Singletary with Moss, but if we were going to get him at the 1309, I think we actually take him. Like, obviously, I don't like monopolizing backfields like that, but I think if it comes at the price where we're getting every running back touch in one of the best offenses in football with a late 9th and late 13th round selection, I think that's something that we actually do on a build like this. So, of course, it would be less exciting when we had Zach Moss, but I think we would have taken Singletary there. Yeah, so no wide receivers go off the board between our picks. I think, actually, Marquez Valdes-Scantling does, but it's whatever with MVS. So I think we probably made the correct decision in going with an Evan Ingram there at the 1309. So T.Y. Hilton at the 1402. Obviously, someone rising up with the positive news about Carson Wentz. So the thing is, do we go out of our way and do we take... I'm going to keep my mouth shut. We got 15 more seconds till we're on the clock. Brian says, Zeke or Barkley 6th pick. I say use promo code FLOCK and Underdog Fantasy. Get all our rankings, get all our tiers, get our 2021 draft guide with details, explanation behind the picks. That's what I say to that question. Now let's pull this back up here. We're going to be at the 1404. We're not looking QB. We're literally these are the only positions we can draft from here on out. We were going to go Sammy Watkins. We're doing it. We're going Sammy Watkins. I really wanted to get a running back there, but receiver is just by far and away the best value. So we're going to get another guy that we think can have some random spike weeks for us. Obviously, Sammy Watkins gets the bump up with the Rashad Bateman injury, with Hollywood Brown dealing with his own stuff. So we are going to be getting Bateman right now. Okay, so Jamison Crowder at the 1405. Anthony Firsker at the 1406. I do like that value there. I mean, let's go through and let's actually try to look at some teams in this draft that may have intriguing builds. I love seeing as many tight ends off the board as possible. Please start drafting those tight ends. We need them to come off. So I want to look at teams that kind of took a string of picks that make them look very unbalanced and see how their drafts ended up. Okay, so if we look at this Lank Dog team, they ended up going receiver in rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So their team at running back was Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb. Neither player that I particularly like where they usually go in fantasy drafts, but if you're getting in here at the 106, 207, I think that's perfectly fine values. Then we go through, we have a Damian Harris at the 807, Latavius Murray at the 1106. So 4 running backs, definitely a way better running back room than ours. Then at receiver, Terry, Ayuk, Claypool, Williams, Devonta Smith. So Mike Williams here over Laviska Shenault, I don't necessarily think that I can do it. Unless you're setting up a stack and that you want to be going with a Justin Herbert later on, I don't want to be drafting Mike Williams here in the 6th round over Laviska, Antonio Brown, DJ Chark. He literally has no path to be the wide receiver 1 on his own NFL team. Devontae Smith at the 706, I'm completely fine with. Harris at the 807, don't love the running back. Y'all know I've been screaming that Ramondre Stevenson is a sleeper in New England. And thank God it's looking like we're already getting some validation for that one. And Goddard at the 906. So this is an intriguing build. You get Lance at QB. Okay, so I think when you get Lance at quarterback, you're most likely going to have to draft 2 more QBs. But I think so far that is a very intriguing team. John Ross says, how do you keep track of your teams when you're in so many drafts? My man, on Underdog Fantasy, while I'm telling you not to necessarily just completely replace the leagues that you're already playing and join Underdog Fantasy drafts instead, that's not what you do. Instead, you use Underdog Fantasy as a tool because fantasy drafts are about the most fun thing that you can do on the planet, to be completely honest. Obviously, that's why I got into doing this, because I enjoy doing them so much. But also, Underdog Fantasy drafts are such strong tools in that you don't submit your starting lineup in a best ball league. Instead, at the end of the week, the highest possible starting lineup automatically gets submitted for you. And at the same time, there are no waiver wires. So you could realistically go in, and I've already done 50 plus drafts on Underdog, and I'm not going to have to think about a single draft at all during the season. I'm going to be able to focus in on those other drafts that I did where I'm submitting my starting lineup each and every week. I'm going to be able to focus in on those leagues and making sure that I have everything done there. And that's what I'm saying. Use promo code FLOCK, deposit $10, get a $25 bonus, and then you'll have $35 in your account. You can go out, you can hop into a bunch of mini drafts, and then with that, you don't have to necessarily track them through the year. It's automatically going to be tracked for you, and you're just going to be a much better drafter for the fantasy drafts that you care about this season. So now Brashad Perriman goes at the 1507. Darius Slayton. Okay, so we have a little run on receiver. Hopefully we like a running back or a receiver that's available to us right now. I think it's actually going to be a clear option. We saw James White get a decent amount of usage in the receiving game this game right now. So when we're looking at White, he's going to be the perfect running back complement to a team where we really need depth. We really need someone getting touches every single week. Yeah, so we're going to go with the James White as our running back 4. I'm actually really excited that James White fell there. I think that James White has a very limited ceiling, but on a team like this, we don't necessarily just need a ceiling. We kind of need a floor at running back as well. Paris Campbell says at the 1510, Cue the plug coming out, says he's going to smoke us into 12-team redraft. I mean, a PPR league. My man, we have a ton of Patreon flock leagues. If y'all wanted to get in one of those leagues, you had your shot on Patreon. Maybe we'll do some more. I can't guarantee it though, but that's not going to be on the main channel. On the main channel, I'm getting as many people in these underdog drafts as possible because I want to be able to do 250 drafts this offseason. That way I can draft with as many of y'all as possible. Okay. So let's go running back, receiver. So like I said, this is going to be a team where we build around 5 RBs and 9 receivers. So we're going to be up in about 3 picks. We just had Xavier Jones go off the board directly after Paris Campbell. Paris Campbell, I mean, and I think in a vacuum, I do prefer having Paris Campbell. It's just the problem is when we only have Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, Zach Moss at running back, we really need to go through and we need to address the position again. Austin Hooper, the 1601, really like the Austin Hooper value. Deshaun Jackson at the 1602, someone I can't get behind drafting. Okay, come on, let him fall. Let him fall. Give him to us. Teresa says, Minshew is garbage. He won't beat Trevor. No way. What do you think? Yeah, guys. I mean, I'm saying, please, 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 please do not be looking at depth charts right now. Depth charts mean absolutely nothing. So yes, yes, Trevor Lawrence is 100% going to be playing over him this year. I promise you that. I mean, it's not a hot take whatsoever. And it's not a hot take or it's not a sexy pick, but we are going to be drafting Tyrell Williams here, just as a receiver that we know is going to be seeing a ton of snaps and targets this upcoming season. So yeah, we are going to be taking Tyrell. Ryan coming out with a donation says, respect to Grind Mason. You've been alive since I got out of work around 5. Keep it up. Thank you, my man, for supporting the show, of course. And yeah, y'all know nobody live streams as much as we do. Nobody does. But thank you for the support. Now, Ramondre Stevenson goes to the 1608. That's a running back that y'all know we've been drafting consistently in the 18th round of so many drafts. So yeah, like having Stevenson there. I will say a main reason I passed on him is thinking that we were going to have the ability to possibly draft him at the end of the 17th round, given the fact that he hadn't risen in that much price in the previous drafts before this. But yeah, I think that you're going to continue to see Stevenson rise. There's a reason that I was calling him a sleeper before this game. There was a reason. Okay, so now we need one more running back and one more receiver to round out this draft. Jay, and that was pretty funny in the chat. Okay, see, Thomas saying go with Larry Roundtree. Is Larry Roundtree right now getting reps with the second team? Is he? I figured it would be someone else there. Let me look this up. Let me look up his name on Twitter. I haven't seen any reports that he's getting work with the second team, but if he was getting work with the second team instead of a Joshua Kelly, that would be significant. Okay, yeah, so there's no buzz right now. Yeah, there's no buzz whatsoever. Malcolm Brown at the 1701. I would have liked Malcolm Brown at the end of the 17th round. The problem is, I mean, I just couldn't really draft a running back there when Tyrell Williams was a really good value. I mean, Tyrell Williams kind of had to be the pick, to be honest. Okay, so Devontae Booker at the 1702. Hamler at the 1703. Y'all know I was going to continue to draft KJ Hamler if y'all let him fall to me. Now, let me pull up real quick on Underdog. I want to see my exposure after the drafts tonight. I wonder if they automatically update when the drafts are live. But I'm going to make a video talking about my exposure of certain players. Let me look up how many leagues I have Stevenson in. I have Stevenson in a lot of leagues. Hopefully his price increases. I will say that. Okay, so let's pull this up. Okay, so the 1709. Daniel Jones is a screaming value. Who would score more points for this team? Us taking Daniel Jones or us possibly going with another receiver? Daniel Jones goes. We don't even have the option. But same thing with Darnold. Okay, so if we go through at receiver, we have Evans, Odell, Golladay, Juju, Terrace Martin. Yeah, no, we need another receiver. Okay, I think we actually get a running back here, though, in a Chuba Hubbard. We look at the running backs that are going beyond this. I really hate all those running backs. We can say that Chuba does have an elite ceiling, and we actually have him in a place where he's stepping up for Christian McCaffrey with an injury. Of course, we're not projecting an injury to occur to Christian McCaffrey, but it's a real possibility of that happening. And if that were to be the case, I think that you do have league-winning potential with a Chuba Hubbard. So yeah, we're going to be getting in there at the 1709, and we're going to be rounding this draft off with one more receiver, and then that will be it. Okay, so Allen Lazard at the 1711. Okay, so let's go through. Let's just look at where we are going to be at with this pick. Okay, so Sam Darnold. I just really don't know the correct answer between, I'm not going to say the receiver I'm thinking about. We're not going running back. We're not going tight end. I guess when we do have we already made that bet on Rodgers. I'm trying to talk myself out of it right now. I know the right call is to go with the 9th receiver. When we already have Rodgers and Jalen Hurts, we're doing ourselves no favor in going out there and drafting another quarterback. But can we get away from it? Sam Darnold, I'm looking at my exposure right now. He is my most drafted quarterback. I have him in 17.6% of leagues. So he goes before us, so we don't have to consider it. We are going to go with the Nico Collins as our last pick. So yeah, let's go through and let's recap this draft before I end the live stream. So in the first, we went with a Travis Kelce at the 109, and then y'all can just see where we went beyond that. And of course, y'all can pause the screen. Y'all can take a screenshot. Let me scroll down a little bit so y'all can see the middle rounds as well. And then let's go down. Let's show the very bottom. And before we end the live stream, guys, I really need to make sure we go through and we get y'all a link to our free fantasy football group chat. So if you use promo code FLOCK tonight to join Underdog Fantasy and made a $10 deposit, got your $25 bonus, make sure you're sending me a DM telling me to send you that draft guide. All you have to say is, Mason, send me that draft guide, you bum. Give it to me. Here's my email that I signed up for Underdog Fantasy. That way I can go through and I can confirm. And if you do not have an Instagram, you do not have a Twitter, that's completely fine. Here's a link to our free fantasy football group chat. You don't need an email. You don't need a credit card. I'm not trying to get you to sign up for some list or anything. It's literally just a place that you can freely shoot me a direct message. And at the same time, you're going to find that a ton of people in there are talking fantasy football over and over and over and over again. So let's go through. Let's send this out. Okay, so yeah, go through, join that live join that group chat. I am so tired. I can't even talk right now. It's about to be 1 a.m. with where I'm at. And yeah, thank you, my dudes, for everybody coming out to the live stream. Use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy if you want to support the channel. And on top of this, drop that like, subscribe, and I'll see you with the live stream tomorrow.